ready, people? FTLive, Frazier Fri-YAY can't happen because snow's annoying. It's Todd Father, it's Erik Kratz, it's Scotty Braun. It's a good guest list today, too. Check it out. If you're on YouTube right now, you can just kind of look down at the title and see who's about to join us. And Erik Kratz is about to leave us. That's it, right, Kratz? I mean, technically, on paper, it says 2 weeks, but we all know you're not making it back. I mean, once you run into Scar out there from Lion King, dude, he's tough.
Mufasa.
Tell everyone. Where you going, dude?
Where you going?
Is that or is that top secret?
No, I'm going to South Africa, man.
Yeah,
like a trip of a lifetime. I don't get to travel as much as AJ's gotten to travel yet, but I think AJ's been there like twice. So yeah, an opportunity to go to South Africa for deuce weeks. I think it'll be exciting. My wife, my parents are going. Leave the kids. Hopefully it doesn't snow too much and they can run the snowblower while I'm gone.
That's awesome, man.
That does not sound like a Todd Father trip. Todd Father's beach, a little pina colada for the vacay, no?
Strawberry daiquiris.
Yep.
I like those.
Daiquiri.
I mean, listen, I like the beach, but I won't go if I don't have an umbrella. That's my biggest thing. I need shade. I need the shade, but I will stay on the beach all day as long as there's shade. I can get some shade in there for sure.
I like that.
I'll throw some shade at you.
What was it? The first week, I think, Kratz, of our show's existence in early March, and Todd Father's already taken a vacation, but he did check in multiple times,
with maybe, some Corona pics.
Yeah, maybe a few daiquiris in hand. So it was great. If you want to really have a throwback and see what the show looked like 11 months ago, go for it.
It's funny.
Oh, your hair is on point today, Scott. Did you darken it a little bit?
I think it's just the lighting, but
no, I'll be honest. It looks black. I like the black hair.
Dark. Yeah, it does look darker. It has not changed. I'm not at that status yet where I've
all right. No, I think it's
the grays. I'm not there.
I wish I can have the patience to let my hair grow out that long.
It's nice. I mean, it feels nice, especially in the winter time because it's cold here. But I got a little Jimmy Neutron action going on.
Yeah.
Before we get to Ken Rosenthal in 10 minutes, I do want to sneak this in for ourselves first. So let's charge the damn mound because no, we don't have any signings this week.
Shocker.
Forbid there was a signing for 3 weeks to go until we get to pitchers and catchers reporting. But only 5,000 free agents remain. So Josh Hader is being pursued by the Houston Astros. Makes a ton of sense in some ways. In other ways, Todd Father, it doesn't make a ton of sense. On paper, roster, the amount of innings they just lost, which is over 200 from their relievers. Kendall Graveman out for the year. Phil Maton, free agent. Hector Neris, free agent. Ryan Stanek, free agent. They need bullpen help. They need probably multiple relievers. So this makes all the sense in the world on that front. And sure, Ryan Presley's in the 9th. I'm sure they can figure that out. I'm not concerned. Here's what doesn't make sense to me. Josh Hader is going to command money. Serious money. The Astros they just haven't spent like this in the past. They're around the luxury tax number right now. They don't spend in free agency like this during the tenure of Jim Crane, who obviously has done a great job running a team that's been a very winning franchise. So do you think that this is realistic? Do you think the Astros would actually shell out, say, 5 years, $105 million for Josh Hader?
I think they should. I honestly think any team should. This guy is one of the best to do it right now. He's filthy. I don't care if everybody's healthy. Putting that guy in the back end of a bullpen, will Ryan Presley be happy? I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, is it that big of a deal to throw in the 8th or the 9th? To some people, I think it is. But to others, you want to win championships, you do that team game. And I think this is a perfect fit for the Astros. I think he's a perfect fit for any squad. And at the end of the day, this is another piece to the puzzle the Astros could have and should have that will make them be the turning point into another playoff run. I mean, I don't see why any team shouldn't pick him up.
But Kratz, will they spend the cash like this? You know what I'm talking about. So here, I'll give you more specifics. Jim Crane has never signed a free agent for more than $58.5 million. Josh Hader is going to command probably double that. That's what he's asking for. And they've given out just 3 deals of more than $100 million. And those were extensions for their legends, Altuve, Bregman, Yordan Alvarez. this would be very out of character for this team, and they would almost definitely be blowing past that first luxury tax number. I'm all about it. I'm just having a hard time believing it unless the market came down quite a bit. And Dana Brown, GM of the team, at the winter meetings said that they weren't going to overspend on free agents. Let me get the exact quote for you if I can from Dana Brown. He said at the winter meetings, I'm looking for it and I just lost my place. So you can talk while I find it, but it was something along the lines of them not, overspending in the free agent market.
I read the article you're talking about, but this isn't overspending. This is what the value of that type of reliever is. Now, you've had Ryan Pressly for years now. He's on his last year of his deal. Pressly knows he needs somebody to step in the place of Rafael Montero, who was down and out. So you're not even talking about those innings that they lost from Stanek, Neris, and Maton. Like, Montero can't be counted on. Could he regain his form? Absolutely. But Pressly knows, and he is a great team player. He is there for the boys. He wants the team to win. He knows that if they have a three-headed monster in the back of their bullpen, they're legit, like they were back in 22. And bringing Hader in is also possibly the start of signs for the time. I always go back to the Jason Worth signing for the Nationals. A tick too early. Would they rather have Hader for next year after Pressly's gone? Absolutely. Pressly is 35 years old today. It's not his birthday today, but he's 35. Hader won't be 35 till the end of a 5-year deal. Most likely Pressly's gone, maybe a 1-year deal he would come back on. But you need to send a sign to Alex Bregman. Altuve's up for an extension. Whether you think, they're going to extend him no matter what, he's their guy. Hader is a guy that shows this team and any free agents and the current guys that are on the team who are going to be free agents, hey, we still mean business. We're not breaking it down, even though we don't have anything in the minor leagues. So the Astros' choice is you start making signings like this, who is an absolute impact signing, or you start breaking it down again, and maybe you don't re-sign Bregman. Maybe you don't re-sign, but you're going to have to start spending. That's just the nature of the beast right now where the Astros are at. They're at a crossroads, and they need to make the choice, to me, this offseason.
Also, just to clarify, Pressly should be back for 2025. So technically they should have him for 2 years because of the vesting innings. No, I'm saying
he's got to throw 50. He's got to throw 50 plus innings. And if he's
50 appearances, right? So he has to do 50 appearances in 23, which he just did, and 24. That would guarantee him $14 million for 2025. He's done that every year for the last 5 full seasons. So as long as he doesn't get hurt, he's a lock to return.
But if you bring in Hader, he's not necessarily
not saves, appearances.
It's appearances, not saves.
Correct. I mean, it's just appearances.
Yeah, but then you could flip flop on days like, we're going to give you, we're going to have Hader try this one out. They might flip flop a little bit. No.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm saying sure, whatever happens. My point is just his incentives are just based on him appearing in games. He's going to appear in 50 games.
50 saves is a lot, Kratzy.
Not saves.
No.
Not saves.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why it shouldn't be. It shouldn't unless
I thought it was innings. I thought it was innings, and I thought he's
games. Sometimes they've done games finished. It's none of that. It's just appearances for him.
Yeah,
which is smart on his agency side, just to be like, hey, as long as he appears in a game, because we don't know how you're going to use him in the future or a situation like this.
Yeah,
he's good. So
or they leak this out to Ken, and that's why I want to ask Ken to drive down Hector Neris' price. They might be still in on Hector, and they might think they can give Hector 2 years. Hector wants 3 years, $50 million, but they might be like, hey, we'll give you 2. I mean, 2 for 30, 2 for 35. I'm trying to think.
Wow, 2 for 35. That's good dough. I mean, Jordan Hicks was looked at as the second best reliever. I know he ended up being a starter, but he got 4 years, 44. I think split that difference. What if it's 3 years and 36, 7, something like that?
What did it come out though? Didn't it come out that Hector wanted 50 for 3 years, or was it 50 for 4 years?
Yeah, and I want 50 on my FT contract, but people say no to me. I wanted that at MLB. They said no. You'll get pebbles and you'll like it.
And I think this is that chance. This is the chance to maybe, because it just came out that Hector just was saying that, and he was silent. We didn't hear anything from Hector for the whole offseason. And now all of a sudden, the Astros are in on him. Now all of a sudden, okay, maybe I'll take a little bit less. Maybe they're offering him, 4 for 47, and he wants 50, and they're driving it down. I agree with you. It doesn't make sense to sign Hader in the sense of like this isn't what they do, but they're going to have to start doing this because they don't have anything in the minor leagues right now.
And I think, we can all agree the Astros need to add 1 or 2 relief pitchers. When you lose 200 plus innings and your farm system's not great, and there are some exciting young pitchers that they're hoping to be starters, you don't want to take them away from that. So one more thing here. Chandler Rome had to reply to some fans over the past 24 hours. You'll like this, Todd Father, because it makes me think, are you watching at all? And even if you're not watching, do you even do a quick Google search? So here's one from Laser. Please, God, I want to stop suffering 9-inning Presley. Oh, he's suffering so much, Laser, with those World Series titles and the 9th-inning lockdownness. So, okay, since becoming closer in 2021, Ryan Presley has 90 saves, a 141 ERA plus, which is elite exceptional, sub-1 whip, over 11 strikeouts per 9, 24 postseason appearances since 2021, 1 earned run. He is one of the best 5 closers going, according to Chandler. Wait, he's one of the best postseason relievers of all time. There's one more, too, that we can just double down with, because it's not like, here's just one troll messing around calling a dude out. There's another guy that also popped up, or girl, with an account and was calling out Presley again. And again, Chandler Rome posted, what part of he's allowed 1 earned run in his past 24 postseason appearances across the past 3 years could you not comprehend? How much bigger of a moment would you like to see him face? Like basically saying, he wasn't good in the 9th, wasn't clutch, postseason, blah, blah, blah. I mean, so Todd Father, do you know Mariano Rivera? Can we get him back and also bring him back to his prime? Because unless it's him, I don't really know how you can make fans feel satisfied in that situation. Not all, obviously, just some that aren't paying attention.
Yeah, they're not paying attention, or they're not watching. I think they're just out there trying to be getting that next click, because this guy's absolute filth. I know Kratzy and I have faced him numerous times, and that slider, that whatever you call it's coming, slurve, slider, pieces coming, and it's still unhittable. It's like a Josh Hader fastball. For some reason, Josh Hader's fastball, I thought I was on time, and I swung through probably 6 or 7. I'm like, how the hell am I missing this? So he's definitely one of the best closers. Every time he comes in, it's like, not giving up another run because the game's over. And he's not overpowering. His fastball is like his second pitch. Kratz, would you agree with me on that one?
Check the thread that I just sent you. So I can't really.
Oh, no,
I can't really comment on this.
Find out what I did against Presley in my career.
Should I say it?
No, I got to look it up.
I mean, you can say I can't humble brag, but I will tell you this. There is no easier 9th innings for a fan base than Ryan Presley's 9th innings in the playoffs. His 9th innings are like, oh, well, this is over. Like other closers, go watch another team and have a vested interest in it. It's like slider. Right now the best reliever in the game that's not Josh Hader, Devin Williams. This dude will throw 32 pitches in the 9th inning, and it will be change up out of the zone, 3-2 count, punchy, and you're like, oh, we made it. We love this guy. Peripherals are saying he's so awesome. Presley, it's like, all right, there you go. Slider, strike, slider, strike. Oh, you're swinging now? Slider for a ball. See you later.
It's filthy. Jesse's finding my stats. Don't worry. You hit a homer off him. I get it. Oops, 1 in your book. Jesse's taking his good old time over here. So
Jesse's writing a letter. He's not checking the internet. Jesse's trying to.
No, he's talking he's trying to find the next Lil Wayne hit over here.
Tell him he's on the clock because we're about to talk to Davis Schneider.
Yes,
of
I
the
know.
Toronto Blue Jays first.
Yeah, but my last thing on it though, what are these fans looking at, man? Come on. I mean, are these robots? I mean, I don't know.
They're
This guy,
bots.
they're, it's just
They could
this
be
guy.
bots.
He's been phenomenal his whole career, and it's just something where if you're watching this game, you see him come in, it's like, all right, we got a chance. No, you don't, man. This guy has perfected the off-speed breaking pitch to perfection. Hey, I'm going to throw for a ball. I could throw this for a strike. I could back it up to a righty on accident. I can get a lefty on his back foot, all that kind of jazz. And he is one of the most dominant closers in postseason history, for sure.
Yep, no doubt about it. And think about it. I mean, if they have both of them in the back end of their bullpen and they're healthy come playoff time, and you
And
have 2
Abreu?
innings done.
And
And
Abreu?
Abreu, right? You have
Yeah.
technically, and you can stretch at least 1 or 2 of those guys. I mean, in tight games in a game 7, you're covering 4 innings, right? So you're like,
Easy.
hey, how do I get to the 5th?
What did Abreu give up? He gave up like 1 run from July till the postseason, something obnoxious like that. Like but that's the recipe that they took into the 2022 postseason. And they rode Montero, they rode Abreu, they rode Presley, and obviously they had great starting pitching. But like that's like, to me, that 3-headed monster is, and I'll always go back to 2014, 2015 with the Royals. That's what we rode, and that's the team. That's success. If you're trying to get it out of 2 guys in the playoffs, you're going to get burned out in a 6-7 game series.
Anyone else on this show have an extra base hit against Hader?
Oh, this guy right here.
Oh, hey, what's good?
What's good? I
What's
found
the
Jesse.
report? What'd you do?
Thanks for making me feel even worse than what I am right now.
What do you got?
1 for 8, 1 double. RBI though. RBI. So you and me in the same boat.
Yeah. That's against Hader.
No, that's against Presley.
Presley?
Hader, I don't want to go near those stats.
Yeah, but I'm 1 for 1 against Presley.
Only 1 at bat.
Only 1. That's all I needed.
All I need in his
Next
life.
time.
Oh, the homer's against Presley, not against Hader.
No, not against Hader. I only played with Hader.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right, lastly on the Astros before we bring in Schneider, where do we have them right now in the AL West? Are they the favorites? Or is it Texas coming off the World Series title? And in my mind, a lot more in the cupboard for them in terms of prospects. And I think they'll still do 1 or 2 things. I think they've been slow, the TV stuff going on, blah, 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 whatever. They're rich. They had a great postseason. They made a ton of money.
Texas.
And I could see the Rangers signing Montgomery and another reliever, another high leverage arm. It might not be Josh Hader, who I thought would be a great fit there, but it still could be a big arm. We haven't seen most of these players move yet. I think they're in on Hector Neris too. So I think one of these pitchers could land in Texas for the back end of their bullpen.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a situation where you always see guys go in the division because you have that like, I remember facing Stanek last year. I remember facing Maton the last few years. So it's something that I think is super important, that if you think the Rangers aren't going to pick one of those 3 guys up, I would be surprised, because they need pieces in that bullpen. They need more than 1. As much as Spores did great at the end, you got to look at what he has been doing his entire, the entire season last year. So they need pieces there, to me, more than they need starting pitching, because they are going to bludgeon teams to death with that lineup. The way that they're all essentially, entering their prime, and they got young guys coming up. They're going to have the Rookie of the Year front runner in there. So to me, the Rangers, they need to solidify that bullpen. I think they're still, even without any moves, because the Astros didn't make any moves either, will be my favorite. It will happen in the next month. Whoever makes the moves to solidify themselves as the front runner in the AL West.
Okay, fair. Let's get to our guest. Joining us for the first time on FTLive, the living legend north of the border, Davis Schneider, joining us right now. Davis, how you doing, man?
What's up? How you guys doing? Good. Thanks for having me on.
We're good. Yo, so you got through most of the off season now, right? I'm sure you're gearing up to get to spring training.
Yeah.
When did it hit you? What happened over the last, 6 months?
To be honest, I don't think it really has just yet. I mean, you see like a lot of highlights still and everything like that of it, but like I don't think it'll ever kick in for me personally. I mean, I think that's a good thing though, because like you always dream of it when you're a kid and making the major leagues, but you never really think it's ever going to happen, even when you're like that close, even in AAA. But I don't think it'll ever kick in for me down the road. Hopefully, it does down the road, but right now, I still got to wake up from it.
Yeah, and you want to keep rolling, right? So
Yeah.
how do you take what happened then, with the call up and the instant success and keep that going into this coming season for Toronto? Obviously, the Jays have made some moves, but not a ton, and there
Mhm.
looks like there's going to be quite a bit of opportunity. Unfortunately, you don't get to play with Ohtani. We can get to that. But it looks like there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to be up there for good.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just learning from last year. I mean, obviously, I started out really well, and then I went over 31. So kind of just learning from the ups and downs of being up there. I feel like that's the biggest thing, and knowing what my role is going to be, whatever that role is, like whether it's a bench role, pinch hit here and there, or a starter. So just like going out there, making sure I'm getting my work in, and kind of taking care of what I can do, and then let the rest of the stuff kind of handle itself.
You make a good point, because when I first came up, I played a lot of different positions. Now, my question to you is, does that kind of hinder you a little bit? I remember they were trying to focusing me on playing different positions as I first came up, and at the same time, looking back, I'm like, damn, I wish I had one position to worry about. Then I can just worry about hitting. Does that play with your mind a little bit? Are you like, you know what? I'm young right now. I'll play wherever. I'm not really worried about that. But hindsight 2020, I feel like you kind of wish you did have that one position to fill and go on forward from here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm definitely more comfortable at second, and like in the infield, I grew up at third baseman, so like infield is definitely my home. But I mean, as long as I can, make my way into the lineup, it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I can go out there and play left, and I'll feel comfortable there. But it is what it is nowadays. Versatility is huge, and being utility role, like a lot of teams are looking for that, and moving from position is like just I guess what people want. So. I mean, as long as, I can just put my work in and, get comfortable at each spot that day, then that's good with me.
All right, mine's kind of like a two-piece question here. You and I were Blue Jay draft picks, squandered in the minor leagues forever. Actually, you didn't squander forever. You just took longer than most people would think. But
Yeah.
what's the most annoying question that you kept getting the whole you were an absolute sensation in Toronto. And I feel like sometimes sensations in Toronto, because Blue Jay fans are probably going to rip me for this, they don't necessarily know the game super well. But what's the most annoying question that they just kept asking you? Like, like something like, oh, are you related to Schneider, your manager? Like, what's the most annoying question?
I mean, there was a lot. I mean, I can't really, there was a bunch. I mean, even after like just a good game, it's like, how do you feel about, doing this? I'm like, how do you think I feel? I mean, I feel good. I did well, like that type of stuff. But like the probably most annoying one was probably the Schneider one. I mean, that was probably at the start. A lot of guys like made that connection because we're both from Jersey, and I knew him before, but the whole relation thing and the last name that kind of got a little bit old pretty quick.
All
But
right. So
it's just
then,
like the standard questions like how do you feel? Like, you're going on this run, like what you go to the ballpark every day, like what do you feel about the fans and everything like that? And that just kind of got old really, really quick.
so then you're so new to the game. You don't even have 200 at bats in the big leagues yet.
Hmm.
What is it that we don't know about you that you can tell us now? Because this is what the whole show's about. Like, we need to, what is it that makes Davis Schneider tick, and not just, well, I just tried my best and it was a ball, so I didn't swing at it and I hit a home run. That was neat. What is it that makes you tick? What's your shtick?
I feel like the biggest thing for me is I know that I'm not the most talented guy or can hit the ball 500 feet like all these guys can in the bigs. So like knowing that and knowing what I can do really well, I feel like helps me kind of succeed at the highest level, because I only can hit a certain pitch or kind of do damage on a certain pitch. And earlier in my minor league career, I try to hit everything. I try to hit the pitcher's pitch, and that kind of what got me out. And I wasn't able to hit as well as I should have. But then later in my career, I kind of like figured out, okay, you know, focus on what you do well and kind of try to capitalize on that. And I feel like I've done that the past 2 years, especially in AAA this year. And the ABS helped a lot, helped me narrow down my zone. A lot of people don't realize that. They asked me why your numbers were high in AAA. I was like, the ABS helped a lot. A lot of people might not say it, but it's definitely true because it narrows down your zone so small. And I'm 5'9", so the zone is even smaller than what it should have been. But no, having that, it kind of helped me shrink my zone down and just try to not miss that pitch that I usually miss and kind of really focus on that one. And my pitch is down and a little bit inside. And so I try not to hit the high pitch as much as I can. I try to not swing at those, but I try to narrow down my zone as best as I can each game. And if a guy paints 3 strikes or on the outside corner, then, you tip your cap.
Now everybody knows what you like. That's going to be some
Yeah,
trouble.
but like, come on,
They can't do it.
Or hey, listen, or he's
Everyone
trying to
knows.
trick somebody, or you're trying to trick somebody, which I like. So his little niche, I didn't say it because I want him to answer, but he just made my Jersey's finest list because he's from where I'm from, Voorhees, right? You grew up in Voorhees?
Yeah, I'm from South Jersey. You're from a little bit north of me, but
Yeah.
I
It's like,
was committed to Rutgers out of high school. So
damn, man,
Brutal.
I had to
Ain't
stay
that
in
something?
state.
Hey, hold on,
Yeah.
real quick. I got you today. Look at that.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, little Rutgers love. So you got drafted out of high school, right?
Yeah.
Are you home right now, or where you at?
No, I just got to. I'm in Florida. I mean, it's
Yeah.
snowing in Jersey, so I wanted to kind of get out of Jersey.
Yeah,
and come down here a little
wish
bit
I
earlier.
could show you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: playing in New Jersey, is there a sense of pride? Is there something, a little chip on your shoulder everywhere you go? Because for me, for some reason, whenever they're like, "Oh, Jersey, you guys, Jersey strong, whatever it is." Yeah, we play in the snow, we do all that, but you bring that pride with you everywhere you go.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I love being from Jersey. I mean, I live 30 minutes, 25 minutes from Trout. So, like, having him and even you, too, like, growing up and watching you guys play on TV and knowing that we're from the same state and, it's possible to make it out of there and, do big things. So, I mean, you guys paved the way for a lot of Jersey guys. And, the Jersey has a lot of talent, too. A lot of people don't realize that. It's a small state, but it's jam-packed with talent.
Basketball talent, too. Todd Father was recruited by no other than UConn. It's hung up.
Were you really?
The studio.
Yeah, this ain't about
Damn,
me,
I
though.
didn't
This
know
is
that.
about Davis. It's all good.
Just wanted to say there's some serious hoopers in Jersey, too.
There you go.
Davis, take me through that crazy time period when Shohei Ohtani was on the Blue Jays, but he wasn't. He was flying to Toronto, but he wasn't. How locked in on that storyline were you? Who were you talking to? Among teammates, was there a group chat going on being like, what? This is fake?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have Twitter anymore. So, like, I don't have Twitter, so I can't really see, all the tweets that are going out. But all my friends that are, follow me and are Blue Jays fans now, they've been sending me all these updates like, oh my gosh, you guys are going to get Ohtani. Like, you guys are going to be best friends. Like, this is awesome. And then I was like, it's not official yet because you hear things and you watch stuff on TV that says, he's still deciding on the Dodgers. And, rumors are rumors for a reason. You don't really know until it happens. But it was cool for a second to where, like, that tweet where it came out that he was on a flight to Toronto, that kind of got everyone excited and, was probably like, oh, it's going to happen. But obviously that was fake and everything like that. But it would have been pretty sick to, share the field with them. But, you get to play against them now. And, I mean, that's just as cool in my opinion.
Did you see the part with, who was it? Kikuchi was having, like, a sushi restaurant rented out or some big
was that true?
rented out. I don't remember what ended up happening from that. Kikuchi, I think, spoke or tweeted about it or something. Kratz, do you remember what ended up happening on the back end?
I think it was true. I think he had,
it was true.
But it wasn't his name. His name wasn't on the where was it? Shohei was supposed to be going, or Yamamoto was supposed to be going to a football game or something.
Oh no, that was different. No. This was in Toronto. Someone said, and this is where all the BS starts coming out. Like someone was like, "Oh, Kikuchi's renting out a restaurant." And
it was his wife's birthday, I think. Yeah.
Is that what it was? Or it might have just been where Kikuchi, it wasn't him, and the restaurant was being rented out by someone else. Obviously, if I look down at our chat with our million fans, someone's going to tell me.
Or they said something. The guy from that show, whatever.
Oh, well, that was the Shark Tank guy.
That ended up
being on the plane. Yeah, Robert Hershevek ended up being on the plane and not Shohei Ohtani. Kevin Kiermaier's back. Is that a guy that made an impact for you? And if so, also just adding on, who else were really helpful for you and that you became tight with right from the jump when you joined the bigs?
Yeah, KK was huge. I mean, he was that guy. He was a veteran guy, and he kind of put me under his wing, and a lot of guys did. Like Whit was a big one. When I first landed in Boston for my debut, Whit was the first guy to text me and tell me to come to the room and hang out with the guys and kind of meet everyone, because I met everyone in spring training, but I wasn't at big league spring training last year. So I didn't really get a chance to like meet everyone on like a day-to-day basis and kind of like, shake hands with everyone. You just play against them when you get called up for the big league games. But yeah, Whit was that first guy to text me, and we're still friends now. We still play golf when we can. I was at his golf outing a couple months ago, so that was cool to share that with him. But all the guys, KK, Whit, Bassett, Gaussman, all these veteran guys, kind of made me feel like I was part of the team as soon as I got there. And you hear things to where rookies, they're when they get there, they're not as part of the team, and you kind of get like a little blackballed. But they treated me like I was part of the team the whole year, which was great. That made me feel relaxed, confident, and made me want to go to the ballpark every day and not feel nervous around these guys. And they treated me like I was one of them the whole year. So that was a great team to be around. And all those guys are coming back. Obviously, we're losing Whit, Belt, Chapman obviously didn't sign yet, but it is what it is. But those guys were great last year, so it was a good team to be around.
How'd you do in Whit's tournament?
Oh, I played like ass. I was so bad. It was terrible. I wish I did a little bit better, because handicap wise, I was like probably at the lowest, and I could have won. I could have won at least something if I played relatively well, but I was terrible.
It's a tough tournament. They were bringing out the best. It wasn't.
I know.
It
Yeah.
wasn't just a hey, you want to come and play golf kind of thing. But that was a big league tournament.
No, yeah. Clippard was the group behind us, and every time I look back, he was about 5 feet from the pin every single time. He was driving in every single fairway, and he was probably the best one there. He won the net one. Whit won the gross, but there were some good golfers there. Will Myers was pretty good. Eflin was a stick. Jackie Bradley, he could swing it. Like, there was a lot of good guys there.
Wait, I have to ask. So you're the first guest that has come on since his tournament, and we didn't give Whit a hard time because we were talking about his free agency stuff when he came on. But isn't that a little shady, McGrady?
Yeah, it's a little because he's good. I thought he would have put a little bit better, like a better handicap for him. But yeah, it was kind of fishy that he won his own little thing. Everyone was making fun of him for it.
Good. I'm glad. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. You need to make sure you're making fun of those guys for that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, he knows it too. He going into it, he was like, "Imagine if I win this thing, hosting it." And ironically enough, he won it. So
he even set himself up for that. That's
he
did
play well. He did play well, so you got to give him at least some credit for it. But he could have played. He could have had a better handicap than he actually put down. So.
Yeah, that's definitely what happened. It's like that guy that came in with a 58 in the group on the Instagram. You seen that look? Everybody was screaming, "You got to be kidding me!" The guy didn't look like he can even hit a golf ball, but whatever. That's hey, you win at your own tournament. There's some shady business going on there. We'll have to talk to him down the road. Anyway, I want to get to know your routine a little bit. I always ask this question. Give me a day in the life. You go to the ballpark, or give me your off-season routine. How about that? Let's talk about that. What you do every day to get prepared. We're in the meat of things right now. You should be getting after it. Tell me about your routine.
Yeah, so I'll tell you when I'm home in Jersey, because I just got down here. So
gotcha. Pork roll, egg, and cheese in the morning.
I still live in my parents. I live in my parents' basement, like with my dog. So like it's nothing too crazy. But I wake up around like 9:30. I don't really eat breakfast. I go to the gym. I work out, and then I hit for about like an hour and a half. Do some throwing. It's hard to throw outside just because it's freezing. So I kind of do my throwing inside. Do my arm program. So I get done around like 2:30. Then go back, eat, and then basically just hang out. And that's really it. It's kind of a boring life, but I like it because it's a good routine to have. I like getting up. I like working out. I like getting my baseball stuff in, and it's definitely a boring life when it comes to the off season. But during the season, I like to get to the ballpark pretty early because as a rookie last year, I wanted to get everything in before all the other guys there because I didn't want to step on those guys' toes. They've been there, and obviously they didn't really care but for me personally, I kind of wanted to get all my stuff in before then, just because they deserve the respect because they've been there, and
No
they
doubt.
they
No
shouldn't
doubt.
be bothered when they go, but they didn't care, obviously. So, not saying they did, but it was just one of those things to where I wanted to get my work in before them, so they could get their work in. But get to the ballpark around like 1, do my cold tub, sauna, get everything settled in before that, and then I'll do my hitting routine in the cages before I go out and do early work on defense. Every day we had early work for defense. They were great about it. So I like to get my hand routine and everything like that for my infield. Outfield wise, it was tough because I didn't really play that much last year, so we didn't really do much when it came to outfield stuff. Obviously, I took fly balls and everything like that, but outfield wise, it wasn't as much as I did infield wise, and so did that around 3:30, and then whenever the team stuff happened, I jumped in with them, and then kind of did everything when it came to that. But routine, I like to have a routine to where I can get my stuff in early, make sure I do get it in, because if I procrastinate, then I know I'm not going to want to do it, or I'll get too lazy. But I like to get it in early and then kind of let the team stuff happen later.
That was Erik's name, Erik Procrastinate Kratz, but I shouldn't have said that on TV here. Anyway, give me two. I'm not going to say one. Give me 2 foods that you miss when you go to Toronto from Jersey. I'm on this Jersey kick right now. 2 foods that you are like, man, I can't live without. I'm a month away from home. What am I I need something when I get back home. What are the 2 foods?
I mean, obviously pizza, right? I mean, that's like
Of
the number one.
course.
Jersey pizza, it's the go-to. I mean, there was that, I forget what the place, Delucia's Pizza up in Somerset.
Okay.
We had that in Double A. That was my first time, and it was the best pizza I ever had. So Jersey pizza is definitely top notch. I wish that I had better pizza wherever we went, but that's definitely not the case. And probably just like a good burger. I mean, there's good burgers everywhere, but there's a place near my house that has a really good burger that I like a lot. So if I could bring that wherever I go, that would have been
Okay.
that would have been ideal. But can't have everything.
No,
Wait,
understood.
what about a bagel? What about a Jersey bagel? Like,
Yeah, I like bagels, but it's not my favorite. Like, I'll have it, and I think Jersey bagels are a little bit overrated.
whoa,
Yeah.
hot take.
Oh,
Todd is
oh
hurting
my.
right now. Todd loves the pie.
Wow.
Todd loves the pie.
So there's certain part. Like, listen, you can go to like a Manhattan bagel and have that bagel. It's okay, but I mean, you got to go to that hole in the wall place that nobody goes
Yeah,
to where they bake them fresh.
that's true.
I get
That's
you.
true. That's true.
I understand. Now, when you eat pork roll?
Yes.
All right. Do
It
you
is
have it on
pork. It is pork roll, not
Thank you.
Taylor ham.
I respect you even more. Now, do you put that on a sandwich roll, or you put it on a roll, or Kaiser roll, or you do a bagel? You do a roll, no?
I do a roll, but I would have it on a bagel here and there, but
Sure.
obviously majority roll, just
No
because
doubt.
it's definitely a better texture than a bagel. I don't know why, but it's definitely a roll more often than not.
No
All
doubt.
right, Schneids. All right. My first roommate in pro ball was your manager, John Schneider. Okay,
Oh,
so
really?
he was as swaggy as he is now as a draft pick out of Delaware. So here's my question to you about this upcoming season. You didn't go to big league camp last year, so you had no connection. That is crazy. For people who are just listening to this show, the fact that you made the big leagues, you made an impact in the big leagues and didn't make it to big league camp as an invite. I'm sure you got called over every once in a while to fill in and get your $45, whatever they pay you now. But has Schneids talked to you? Has John talked to you about what your role is going to be? And do you think you can play 160 games? Because you've never played more than 113 in one season.
Yeah, I mean, me and Schneids obviously we had a end of the meeting talk with me and a bunch of other coaches too, just to overview my year and what I did right and what I did wrong and what to work on and stuff like that. But we kind of had a talk before that or after that too about what the season entails. And he says, the off season's not over yet. There's still a lot of guys we're going to sign and all that stuff. And he just said, come to spring training, work your ass off. Nothing's entitled to you. Just try to win a job somewhere and, just do what you do best on the field and let us handle the rest. And because you can't handle that anyway, so don't even think about it. Just go out there, try to perform to your best of your ability, and then just go from there. And so, I mean, there's only so much you can say too. I mean, as a manager, it's like you have to say that to a guy like me too, because you can't tell him, you have a starting job and then him get complacent and stuff like that. So like, I definitely get that. And yeah. So that, I mean, talk wise, it was kind of like just like that. It wasn't anything crazy.
All right. Now I got to say one name, and I don't know what kind of connection you have with him with the Jays. What does Dennis Holmberg mean when you bring that name up in your Blue Jays development?
I would call him the GOAT. He's definitely the GOAT. He's the man. I mean, he just loves baseball too. Has all these witty sayings. I mean, you probably know about him too. So like, he just loves baseball, loves being out there, loves the grind. I mean, he's getting up there in age, but he loves what he does. And you gotta love that as a player. He's still out there, you never see him down or sad or anything like that. And him just having that energy around you builds you up as a player, and you're gonna want to go out there and play for him and play even harder,
Dennis Holmberg is the rookie. You went to extended, what, 3 times? Did you go extended twice or 3 times?
Twice. Yeah.
So he usually runs extended. He ran extended back in 2003 and 2004 when I went as a college senior. At least you went as a high school senior. I went as a college senior, grinder. But Dennis Holmberg is a baseball fixture, but also a Blue Jay fixture. I think he spent over 50 years in the game, and not many people know who Holmberg is. He believes in aliens, and his quirky sayings are probably still the same ones from 20 years ago when I was in the bushes.
Yeah. He repeats the sayings too each year, which is funny. But you still get a kick out of him every time he says them.
Davis, I'm going to mix in. We got like 2 more minutes. A few fan questions, so a few quick hitters. Here's one from Zach. Favorite players growing up?
Obviously it's biased. I mean, Trout was definitely my favorite guy growing up. I mean, I was 12 when he was playing, but whenever he was on the TV, I tuned in, and it was just cool to see him, the Jersey guy, just kind of do his thing. And this might be controversial, but Bonds, I think Bonds I wish I was like 10 or 12 when he was in his prime. I was 3 when he was, early 2000s, so I wasn't like fully aware of what he was doing. But I wish he was definitely. I watch his highlights all the time. Like, he is the greatest hitter, in my opinion, of all time, and he was just awesome. So Bonds and Trout were the 2 guys I kind of still watch highlights of, just to kind of make sure what their swing's doing.
Yeah, Bonds was a video game to watch. It was
not controversial. No controversy there. He was unbelievable to watch.
Yeah. Okay. Reagan wants to know if you're using the same glove, the famous glove.
I am. Yeah. I just got to relace it. The laces broke, so I think the laces was still on from the 80s. So I just got to relace, but it still looks exactly the same. The leather's the same and everything, but it's definitely going to be out there still.
Love that. All right, a little hard hitting from Andrew. You got a lot of super fans here. So Andrew's got 2. Difference between AAA hitting coach approach compared to the bigs, and also, is there anything you're working on for the high and inside strike to try and beat that, or like you mentioned earlier, just avoid pitches like that might be a little bit too inside?
Yeah, I mean, so fortunately now this year our hitting coach is up in the big leagues this year. He's one of the assistants. So having him up there is going to be big, not just for me, but for the whole team, because he knows a lot. But AAA, it's more hands-on, just because you're trying to get to the big leagues. So like, they're going to try to help you no matter what. But like, big leagues is a little bit more hands-offish. Obviously, if you want work, they're going to help you wherever they can, but they're not going to be that guy to kind of push stuff onto you. But in the minor leagues, that's their job. Their job is to kind of like help you try to get to the big leagues, and they're going to be a little bit more hands-on. But and what was the other question again?
High inside strike, or just I guess any strengths and weaknesses that can you work on those per se, or you're just kind of like looking at pitches and
I'm going to try to not swing at those.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, me and my buddy were just talking about how Trout, he's like a 7% at the top of the zone, so he like never swings at it, and that's his kryptonite too. So like, he's doing it for a reason why he's not swinging at it. And the chances of pitchers locating 3 top of the zone fastballs are pretty slim. Obviously they're capable of doing it, but try not to give in to the pitcher's pitches. I mean, especially with less than 2 strikes. 2 strikes, obviously you got to battle, different approach, but make sure you're trying to hunt your pitch no matter what. And my pitch is low and kind of middle. So
Yeah, love that. And great questions from fans. All right, last one from me, and then we'll let you jump. So, because we didn't get to this, I mean, obviously the team played pretty well during the regular season, and then the big disappointment in the playoffs. You had Barrios getting removed early. There was a lot of attention to that. We've spoken to a lot of players about that, and the offense just didn't show up in that short series. So, what were your thoughts on that series overall? I know a lot of guys were pissed for a variety of reasons.
yeah, I mean, I didn't play those 2 games, but watching it from the dugout, it was that playoff atmosphere is actually crazy. You see it on TV and everything, but it's nothing like it. But like you said, we didn't score any runs, so having 0 runs, you can't win any baseball games while not scoring any runs. So like on that aspect, we should have done better. But in hindsight, yeah, it's tough that you don't pull a guy when he's doing that well. And, Kikuchi only gave up 1 run, so it's not like he gave up 6 or anything like that. So Kikuchi did a really good job. And obviously Barrios was rolling, but, in the heat of the moment, sometimes you just got to, change your plans sometimes, whether that was premeditated or not. But, as a player, you want to be out there and have the ball. So I get where Barrios, he was mad for sure. And, but in hindsight, we didn't score any runs. So, like, you can't win a baseball game if you don't have any run support.
Yeah, facts. Exactly. And I'm sure Barrios will bring that into this season too and have a good year. But hope the same to you, dude. Keep crushing it this offseason.
Thank you.
We'll see you in
Appreciate
spring training. Great to have you on, man. Great combo.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Davis Schneider of the Toronto Blue Jays with us on FTLive with Ken Rosenthal joining us in a couple minutes. He's getting checked in the green room, in the fancy green room, enjoying probably, a glass of scotch on a Friday, something like that. What's up, Kratz?
Davis is a G, man. I like him.
He's great.
Sorry, Kratzy, I had to jump in there.
I didn't have anything. I was just thinking about Ken having some Cavassier.
Pass the Cavassier.
Maybe when all of the free agents sign, like the big names, then you take a breath. No.
Ken took his 1 vacation for the year. This dude is a grinder. I am okay handing out my grinder status, handing out the grinder application to Ken because he gets after it. He is always on top of what's going on. And I know we always say this, what he says is real. And this is an offseason where you're about to get ambushed by 175 possible free agents. And Ken's the place to look. So this dude's doing his stuff. Grinder. If he wants some Cavassier on a Friday, he can have some.
And we'll get to Ken in probably 30 to 60 seconds. So just to kind of rehash the top story over the past 24 hours, as we talked about it, Ken and Chandler Rome collabed to put out some words on Josh Hader and the possibility that the Houston Astros could land him, or at least are pursuing him. And question marks include the fact that the Houston Astros don't usually go down this route. So we'll see what happens, but we'll get to Ken on that right from the jump. Obviously, take any questions, and we'll get more on this from Ken because he tweeted about it in the past couple hours. Matt Carpenter's a Cardinal again. Did you see that? Yay!
Yay! More infielders.
We do have another. We got a signing. So we're.
No one's asking him to start, Kratz. I mean, he's at the twilight of the career. You hang. You do your.
This might be it. What did he sign for? Do we
700
know?
Something. So basically, league minimum. Or Ken can clarify this. No. He's getting paid already from other teams, right? Because he was on the Padres.
Oh, he signed that Padres deal.
He's still at the Padres deal. Then they dumped him off to the Braves. Braves cut him. Now he's with the Cardinals. The Cardinals.
So he can't double dip.
Minimum. No. He just exactly. He gets.
Why not? I double dip on ketchup all day.
Yeah, exactly. But you didn't double dip on contracts, but you would if you could. We all would. So let's get to our FT Senior Insider right now. We could start there. Ken Rosenthal with us. And Ken, what's the word on Matt Carpenter? Did we get that right? He gets league minimum with St. Louis?
That's right. And the way his contract works is just how you described it, Scott. He's getting paid, I believe, by both the Padres and the Braves, and it gets him up to the $5.5 million that he's guaranteed for this year. So no problem there. And you're right. For the Cardinals, it's a low-risk kind of thing. Whether Matt Carpenter can play or not, that remains to be seen. Still play. So if he can, all good. And this will be a good deal for the Cardinals to have a good bench player like Carpenter. And if not, there's really no risk financially at all, and you can always replace him once the season begins or after the season begins.
I think some Cardinals fans might be looking too deeply into this, Ken, because of the outfield logjam that they've had. So they're like, why are they doing this? We have an infield logjam. Hey, Matt Carpenter's not starting 150 games. Right. And if anything, even based on what he did last year, I mean, he could come off the bench for an at-bat or two. If two infielders suddenly go down, he could get more playing time. As we all know,
goes
do we
to
have
camp,
to do the depth reminder?
Exactly right. He goes to camp. If he can't play, you release him, no big deal. If he can play, you keep him on the bench, you use him in different spots. It's not like anything to get excited about one way or the other if you're a Cardinals fan.
Fair. All right, so this is much more exciting in my mind. Do you actually think that the Houston Astros would shell out significant money to blow past the luxury tax number, to spend like they usually don't spend in free agency and sign Josh Hader, who, even if he doesn't get the 5 years, 105 or whatever it is to surpass Edwin Diaz, it's not like he signed him for $30-40 million. I mean, I would imagine he's at least going to get 70 or 80.
I would agree. And obviously, if the Astros intend to do this, it would be a bit out of character. This is not a team that generally goes into the free agent market and grabs players for top dollar. They did it with Abreu last year, but it's not their style. They have spent money, of course, but mostly on extensions. Bregman, Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, that kind of thing. They're in an interesting place as an organization. Bregman and Altuve are eligible for free agency at the end of this season. Verlander as well. You have kind of a state of transition, and maybe in Jim Crane's mind, a situation where we need to go for it now because the team is going to look different, not just next year in 2025, but beyond. Tucker and Valdez are free agents at some point. Ryan Presley, he can have a vesting option to get him another season after this one, but it's all kind of in play for them, all of these different things. So for the Astros, if you're Jim Crane, maybe, and I don't know this for a fact, but maybe you're thinking, okay, let's go in on Hader and let's try to max out on this thing while we still can. The question I would have, and the question that a lot of people would have is, well, why spend that amount of money on a closer when you've still got other relievers out there who could supplement your bullpen in front of Presley, when you can still sign Blake Snell if you want to spend big money to maybe a 3-year deal, if you can do that, pull it off, or do something else with that money. That's a lot of money to tie into a reliever. Josh Hader obviously is perhaps the best closer in the game, but when you already have a closer and quite an accomplished one at that, it would be a curious move, but it is something that they are definitely looking at, and the way we wrote it was they're making a push, and that is how we understand it to be.
Is this a ploy because it just so happens that 2 or 3 days ago, Hector Neris said he would like $50 million. Could this be a ploy to get Hector Neris' prices down? Or is this something I had mentioned earlier in the show? My theory is they're going to have to start going all in for people. They're going to have to extend Tucker. They're going to have to pay for whoever is going to replace Bregman because they don't have those pieces in the minor leagues anymore. Could this be the start of, hey, you know what? Look what we have for the next 5 years. We have a closer. Come sign here. Bregman, come back. Altuve, sign another extension. Tucker, sign another extension. All of a sudden, it's the same team.
I don't believe it's a ploy with Neris. I don't see that, Erik. They can sign Robert Stevenson, who might be as good as Neris. He's younger for sure, not the same kind of track record, of course. So I don't see it as playing games with Hector Neris. If you want Josh Hader, you want Josh Hader. The other aspect of it is, to me, more realistic. The idea that you're putting an anchor down with Hader and building a team in front of him, of course, because he's the ninth inning guy. Again, I don't know how this is all going to play out. Jim Crane is a very involved owner, obviously. He's been that way for quite some time and became even more that way after the scandal with the sign stealing and all of that. He has his own ideas, and we've seen him execute his own ideas, and this might be one of them. We'll see if it comes to pass, and then we'll see what they do first with Altuve and Bregman, then with Tucker and Valdez, how all of these things, all of these pieces are going to eventually fit together.
Let me ask you this. You brought up a couple names in free agency. It seems like right now they're just like a lull going on right now. Nobody's signing anybody. There's still a lot of top free agents out there. Can you put your head to it? And is this like a head scratcher right now? Is this the way baseball's been going? 10, 15 years ago, free agents were going like hotcakes, and now it's just like a different ball game. Is there anything to it? Is it money? Is it, people don't want anybody anymore? Like, what do you got in your mind? You think this is why there's such a big lull and everybody waits until the end to sign some of these big free agents?
Todd, it's an interesting question. It's one we've all been thinking about. Obviously, you had the Ohtani holdup, the Yamamoto holdup. You have these regional sports networks that are creating uncertainty for teams because they don't know what their revenues are going to be in 2024 and beyond. There are a lot of excuses, a lot of reasons. Some trades that we thought would be made have not been made. I can't put my finger on it exactly. It's probably all of the above to some extent. And I did talk on Fair Territory about the 175 free agents and how maybe a deadline would push things along more. Some kind of deadline, maybe 2 deadlines, however you want to frame it. And after that, I received a call from an agent who explained to me why the union and agents are so opposed to a deadline. And basically what he said was that we've seen what owners did when they put a deadline on draft pick signings. They squeeze players. We see what they do in arbitration where there's a deadline, they squeeze players. And this agent believes, and a lot of others do as well, and a lot of union officials do as well, that a deadline would only serve to restrict the market. And the union is opposed to all kinds of restrictions, any kind of restriction on the open market. They are opposed to a salary cap, of course. So I don't see a deadline happening anytime soon. This is the way it's going to be. My question is this way a great way for players? Also, okay, you have Bellinger and Chapman and Snell and Montgomery. They're still going to do really well. Hader's going to do really well. But there is a large middle class that is getting squeezed anyway. And those are the guys that maybe the union is never going to worry that much about, or at least not as much as the guys on the top end. You guys could speak to this better than me. But that is where my concern is, and I'm not sure the system works for those guys the way it should. And maybe that's the way it ought to be. Maybe it's just a top end kind of thing, and that's the way talent works in all industries. But that's the question I have about it.
Yeah, and my thing is, some have brought up the year that Harper and Machado signed very late, Ken, and I thought it was terrible for the sport. I think stretching out free agency and trades for a while is cool, like gives us something to talk about all offseason, but when guys are signing in February or even March, everyone moves on. It's like it's spring training time, so you kind of lost your opportunity for the sport to kind of get some attention there, in my mind. And as we can see here, this was a good job by the Cespedes dudes. The top 50 free agents unsigned last year were Profar, Chafin, and Waka at this point last season. Look at the list right now of what's available. We keep talking about like 4 or 5 guys. This is crazy.
I should mention one other fact here, and it's Scott Boras. There's no question about it. Scott Boras has Snell, Montgomery, Matt Chapman, and Cody Bellinger, as well as Rhys Hoskins, James Paxton, and a few others, Hyunjin Ryu. Scott Boras, like him or dislike him, think one way or another about him, he is not afraid to protract these negotiations, to extend them to the point where he believes is necessary to get top dollar. That's a factor here. And I don't know that you can blame him. We'll see how these deals work out. But that is certainly something that is part of this equation. It was part of the equation with Harper, too. Machado was represented by Dan Lozano. It's a different agency. But Boras repeatedly has shown over the years that he will take this thing as long as he believes it's necessary to get the deal he wants. And sometimes he will not get the deal he wants.
And he has the top of the line guys. What you hit on, I want to make sure everybody hears what you hit on, is something that I remember bringing up to the union a long time ago. The union thinks about the guys who are at the top, and the teams know where the majority of their money is going. Everybody wants Garrett Cole. Everybody wants Shohei Ohtani. They'll pay for those guys. Baseball, I feel like, has squashed that middle tier player, and it's kind of what Todd hits on all the time. These guys don't get to sign. How can this change? How can we make sure that the middle tier guys are not forgotten? Because they're big league players. Aroldis Chapman is a big league player. Rhys Hoskins is a big league player. Rhys might even be at the top because he's coming off an injury. He could be a top guy. But how can we, as a game, take care of those 85% of the players that aren't rookies, that aren't the elite? How can we take care of them? Because to me, that's where the game grows exponentially, when those guys get their contracts, their time in the spotlight, all that stuff.
I'm not sure, Erik. And if you put a deadline in, those are precisely the guys who would get squeezed under those circumstances too. So I don't know what the answer is. And certainly this has been an ongoing concern of players over the years. Players like yourself, players like Todd, who were not necessarily top of the line, but like you said, are competent, qualified, accomplished major leaguers. And again, to some degree, a lot of industries work like this, right? But that's the one concern I have as we look at this. I'll be repeating myself here. It's those guys. And we'll see how it works out for some of the players. You mentioned Aroldis Chapman being one, Hoskins being another. Hoskins is a little bit different. He'll probably get a pillow contract of some type somewhere. But there are a number of players. Let's look at Adam Duvall. Let's look at Michael Lorenzen, James Paxton, Robert Stevenson. These are all guys who are pretty accomplished, and yet they're still out there. Maybe some of them will get paid. I believe some of them will. But there will be players. There always are players who get the short end of the stick, and there are also players who are always weeded out of the system. I mentioned 175 free agents. That's what the number was a week ago or so. There are always some free agents who simply don't play again, and that's the natural course of events. That's Darwinian, if you want to call it that. That's going to happen. But again, it's the middle class that sometimes, in my mind, also, guys, gets overlooked.
Ken, I'm going to give you one fan question. It's also kind of about state of the game. So I might butcher the name here. Raikia says, Jays keep hiring coaches to their staff. Is there an MLB limit to allow how many coaches to be in the dugout? I know the San Francisco Giants, remember, in 2021 got a lot of love. They had so many coaches, and they were like, oh, maybe this is the future. And then obviously they had that one great year. I actually also thought of how there was discussions at one point about the league kind of limiting how much teams can spend or do to kind of also create some type of like pseudo salary cap on clubs like the Giants, Dodgers, Yankees, etc., from having more resources than other teams. So, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but what do you think? And do you know anything about how that works?
There is a limit to how many coaches can be in uniform in the dugout. I believe it's 7. It might be 8. I'm not exactly sure. But it's not as if you can have 50 coaches in the dugout. That doesn't happen. It can't happen. Before the game, on the field, different story. But once the game begins in the dugout, there is a limit. As for putting a cap on coaching salaries or anything like that, my gosh, these guys already are underpaid. There doesn't need to be a cap on coaches' salaries. And I should say guys and women because there are female coaches now. So that idea to me is wrong-headed and kind of preposterous. If anything, I'd be paying coaches and managers more.
And let's finish with this. So I know you covered this a bit in fair territory, but what is the plan for the Angels now that they lose Shohei Ohtani? And you never know. I mean, Art could just wake up one morning and be like, okay, screw it. Let's get Chapman or let's get Blake Snell, whatever, right? And I know you talked about how they don't spend on pitching in the past. Like at this point, is this a team that should be kind of rebuilding to an extent? I mean, not necessarily tanking, but they're in a weird spot. The division's really tough. They clearly don't have enough talent to compete, even if they do buy one or even two players. So not only what is the plan, but what should they be doing?
Well, first of all, they're looking at everything. Trades, free agency, pitchers, hitters, relievers, starters. They're trying to kind of improve the team any way they can, and I expect they're going to make moves. They're not going to be quiet the entire offseason. They want to compete, and maybe that's to a fault at this point. Maybe they should trade Trout and do things along the lines of rebuilding, but that's not the way they're going to go. They believe that their position club is actually pretty good, especially if it stays healthy. If you get Trout and Rendon on the field for more than you did in the last year or so. Okay, I can see that. They're certainly going to need insurance for Rendon at third base and some additional protection, but they like their position club for the most part. Where they can upgrade probably with more of an impact is maybe in their bullpen and maybe even in their rotation, though they like some of those pitchers that they have there too. In fact, they're kind of deep. If you go back 2 years, they were pretty good as a starting staff. I believe they were 7th in the American League in ERA. Now, it's not entirely the same cast, but it's largely the same cast. So I expect them to make some moves that are going to help them better compete in 2024. But again, it still comes back to the health of Trout and Rendon. If those guys are healthy, different club.
Yep, fair. And you can learn more about what's going on there on Fair Territory. Ken, we appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you guys too.
Thank you. And yeah, let's show it. There it is. So the Angels are covered. So is Albert Pujols, former Angel, by the way. A little inside dish. It's a great story from Ken. It's
that
inside
story.
baseball. It's inside baseball media. Highly recommended to zoom into that one too. And then, of course, he gets into free agent talk at the top, a little Juan Soto action, and plenty more. Really great 30 minutes there for you on YouTube or wherever you get your pods with a little Fair Territory action with Ken Rosenthal. Now let's get to our Bet MGM World Series odds for today's team. You ready? You know who it is?
Toronto Blue Jays.
Toronto Blue Jays are currently plus 1,600 to win the World Series if you went on the Bet MGM app right now. At the start of the season, they were plus 1,200. One of the top teams up there. By mid-season, when they were kind of mid, they were plus 2,500. Heading into the playoffs, they were plus 2,000. So to me, this is a team where odds makers always have to be a little bit careful because they're a sexy pick. They underperform, but I don't think anyone would be surprised if it all came together because they do have a lot of players that should be in their prime right now, centered around, of course, Vladdy Jr. and Bo Bichette. And also, I looked back. I mean, they had their issues at the back end of their rotation, like really in the 5 spot since Manoah didn't pitch well, so that kind of pushed everyone back. But they had 4 starters who made all of their starts and were really freaking good. Yusei Kikuchi bounced back. Chris Bassett was Chris Bassett. Jose Barrios was solid. I mean, he's kind of inconsistent at times, but the numbers at the end of the season are there. He'll be brilliant, and then, he'll have his hiccups. And Kevin Gausman's a Cy Young candidate. So sometimes you look at them, Kratz, and you're like, what's not to like? But it just doesn't come together for them. They've switched coaching staffs. Like, that hasn't done it either. So I'm not really sure what to look at this point. I did wish that they were more aggressive this deadline, and maybe they will be. But I mean, they certainly have the team already talent-wise to win a World Series.
There's no other team that I look at from their core. Like their issue last year was their hitting. Their hitting was what held them back. They scored 0 runs or 1 run in the playoffs in their, quick exit. All of that's being overshadowed by the fact that they took out Jose Barrios in whatever inning it was, the 4th inning. Took him out too early. That's all overshadowed. They didn't hit. And there's no other team that has a core group of players. When I say core, I just mean Vladdy and I mean Bo. And they need to rake. Those dudes are there. Yes, Springer's going to have to rake. Yes, Dalton Varsho is going to have to pick things up. They have the pieces already. They have the pieces, and they haven't done well. To me, it's not the manager's fault. To me, it's not the hitting coach's fault. To me, it is the opportunity for the Blue Jays to win is right now. And I don't know that if you add a Cody Bellinger, I don't know that changes. These dudes need to look at themselves, and Vladdy, to me, is the number one culprit here. He needs to be the guy that everybody thought should have been the MVP, but there was a guy named Shohei who they missed out on that they didn't get that won it. Vladdy has the opportunity to carry this team, and if he does, I love that plus 1,600 because this starting rotation will be an absolute headache in the playoffs.
Do you guys – oh, there it is.
Ooh,
nice. Do we have a price for that bad boy? Do we know what that's worth?
I think
that's
3 to 5.
Right?
I think 3 to 5, 15 out of 25 here from what my man Jesse was saying. So
3 to 500 or 3 to 5 grand?
No, 100.
3 to 5 hundo.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, he need. How about a little accountability? I don't know, Kratzy. I mean,
I don't
just
know.
somebody stepping up and saying, you know what, there's enough and there's enough. They do. You're right. They have. I forget who was on the show. They asked, who has a great starting 5 or starting 4 pitchers. Seattle was the only one that came. They are right behind them. Like, they're right there. Are they going to blow you away? No, but they're consistent and they eat up innings for you as well. So where's the accountability? I'm always looking for accountability. Who's going to step up? Who's going to be the leader there? It's one. Maybe we should ask Davis that question. Who's the leader on the team? That was one that maybe we got away with, but we don't know.
And it's one of those things that, to me, it's Vladdy. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but he can step. He's that type of player. I don't know if you ever played with these kind of guys that they go into certain environments and they shine. Like Vladdy comes into Yankee Stadium and, he made his comments about, I'll never sign with the Yankees. Okay, whatever. You will if they give you the money. But he comes into the stadium and he bangs. He rakes a really good pitching staff. And you're sitting there like he's banging dingers all over the place in Yankee Stadium against Cole. So he shines in those bright lights. And to me, I need to see that out of him. Is it a lot to ask a guy to have MVP caliber season? Yes, it's a lot to ask. And other guys need to step up. But to me, he will raise the tide for everybody. And there'll be less pressure on a guy like Dalton Varsho to do too much at the plate. Like, he puts together good at-bats and base runs. Bo had a good season last year. To me, it hinges on Vladdy. And they moved him to first base so that he can focus on hitting dingers and just absolutely hitting rockets all over the ballpark. And so they go by him.
This isn't an all-world excuse, but an undercovered story is how Toronto renovated its ballpark and became one of the top pitchers parks in baseball this past season. No, you're not buying any of that. I mean, look at all the home run totals for these dudes last year. It was a tough park to hit homers in suddenly. I mean,
what happened?
Was it? No,
they brought in fences a little bit.
It's because they didn't hit homers.
Yeah, that Vladdy didn't have a homer at home.
Road teams too, though, dude. I'm telling you, the
Look at their
power in
pitching
general
staff.
in Toronto wasn't there. You're saying because the pitching staff and because their hitters underperformed, that's it?
Yes.
Nothing. Okay. The fences got lowered and moved in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vladdy just was not Vladdy in the first couple. Remember, he didn't hit a homer at home for a while, if I wasn't mistaken.
He didn't. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like people said the wind patterns changed, which is a thing. You guys know that's a thing. That happened in San Diego too. No, you guys don't believe in science? What is this?
Only thing that's a thing that is in San Francisco with the that what do you call it? Marine
layer?
Yeah, the marine layer when it's blowing in. Texas, it happened too. Texas, they glassed up the suites that were behind home plate, and the ball didn't go as far. Like they did an actual science on that.
What do you got, Dikembe?
It's a graveyard. That's why I played the first games there. I hit the first homer there in a scrimmage, and guess what? This still doesn't count. But anyway,
I meant the old stadium.
No, come on. The old stadium was a bandbox too.
Yeah. But the home runs started to go down when they put the glass. And the only reason I know that is Chris Young, the now GM of the World Series champion Texas Rangers, was looking to go there. And when as he was a free agent, when he was still playing, and they said, hey, we want you to come here. Here are numbers. And he showed me what the numbers were because he needed to pitch in a big ballpark like Kansas City because he gave up a lot of fly balls and they became dingers in like Cincinnati or something like that. But they showed him when we glassed up or when we blocked off the suite level, a lot of those home runs stopped traveling like they did in the early years of the ballpark in Arlington.
Then why don't you believe it about Toronto? Because they carved out the batter's eye and some of the seats up top. Everything changed there with the complexion of the outfield, and that's I'm not saying
I don't believe it, but it's a smaller park for sure.
It is. I would need to see 2 years of it at least but it's still the same structure. There's no wind coming from. I don't know how it would change coming from the roof. I know when the roof's open and the roof's closed, R.A. Dickey would be like, no. we got to have it closed. Like, I don't want this, I don't want this open when I'm pitching. So there is changes, but I don't know about it changing because the roof's closed a lot there. So how does the wind change based on them moving the fences in and out? I would need to see more. I need to see more than one season. To me,
if only we had a Blue Jays player on our show. Damn, we just had Davis Schneider.
He's not a home
Somebody
run
behind
hitter,
the scenes, though. I know he didn't play there. He hasn't logged out
he
of
had
the
8
games yet.
dingers.
But with Merrifield's on with us, I mean, we got somebody behind the scenes. Please write this down so we don't forget.
Because you see it. Because you
This
see
is
it
a good
in BP.
combo with Witt.
Yeah, no doubt. You see it in BP.
Yeah, and players talk about this, so I'd be curious to get their take there too. So, all right, let's run through the promo that we have. We have a couple things to show you. So first off, the bonus code FOUL right now, it's get 5 or bet 5, get 158 when you place your first Bet MGM sportsbook wager through the app of at least $5. You'll receive $158 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Got to use the bonus code FOUL, FOUL. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, we also have a special ad from our friends at Bet MGM. It's more like a little promo video. It's got a famous former 1995 18th round pick of the Montreal Expos. And if you don't know who that is, you are about to find out.
Tom Brady.
Join us for the big game I'm sorry, can we hold just for a second? Tom, do you mind being an angel and sliding over just the thing? And one more big step right there, and perfect. Join us for the big game for a Bet MGM commercial. This feels personal. I love the memories we're making.
That's like a very Vince Vaughn move. I don't know which, probably multiple movies, but he's got that style to him. I'm trying to think.
I need to see more Vince Vaughn movies. He hasn't had one in a minute, and I need to see. He's my kind of comedy. It's that dry slapstick humor.
Still on strike or what?
No, that stuff's over, and I know my nephew's a little superstar actor now. But
give him a shout, man.
Yeah, 100%.
He's a stud.
He is by far the most talented human in our family's history. Culkin?
Who is it?
Basically, yeah. We can spend 5 minutes on that, but Boonie's getting checked in right now.
Oh, you're right.
So, and also, I do have one more thing I want to run through to make sure we get some housekeeping done here, because you can win your way to Borgata for the Winter Poker Open, and they're nearing the end of the series on the property if you're a poker player. The whole run here ends on the 27th of January. There's a couple live stream final tables that you can catch the action at if you're at home. And also, aside from the live, you can look out for the online trophy tournaments. That starts actually on the 28th on BetMGM Poker Online in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. And I will say this again, we will be there, AJ and myself, next week on Wednesday. AJ and me will do the show from a nice little conference room setup, because just two of us. We're not doing the whole shebang like we do sometimes during the season, but AJ and me will do the show there. And then I will take AJ over to the world famous poker room there in Borgata, and we're going to enter that big finish tournament. So we'll let everyone know how it goes. And there's other pretty cool plans in the baseball world underway with the poker world, kind of combining the two. So stay tuned on that front. All right, ready to go? FTLive returning guest Aaron Boone with us right now, manager of the New York Yankees. Booney, how you doing, man? How's the offseason going?
I'm doing well. Good. A little chilly up here in the Northeast right now, but all good. Getting excited for the grind to start here not too long.
How do you think the offseason's going from a transactions perspective? I mean, obviously, I know there's other people making the final call there, but you're following it. You're in on conversations. Do you have a grade or thoughts on, if you guys feel like you've accomplished what you've wanted?
Yeah, I'm really excited about everything that we've added. Obviously, the big one and bringing Juan Soto in, bringing Verdugo in, obviously just adding Stroman. I know we're still kicking the tires and seeing where we can improve a little bit more, but I'm excited about, the depth that we're building. And I think hopefully in a year where, we struggled a little bit offensively last year, a lot with guys being out of the lineup. Hopefully we've created more balance and I feel like some guys are in the midst of having really strong winners to put themselves in position to go out and do what they're capable of doing.
Good stuff. You brought up Soto. I want to talk lineups, man. I want to get right into it a little bit. Soto's good on-base percentage machine. Judge usually a two-hitter. Have you thought about it yet? Where you might put those two? Because one hits better in one spot, one hits better in the other. Have you thought about lineups yet?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think about it all the time. Yeah, right now, you know, you probably Juan in the two hole and Judgy third, but we'll just see. We'll see how the leadoff spot shakes out. I really feel excited about the way DJ finished the season last year and the winter that he's had. He's in Tampa already getting rolling, so I'm hopeful that he gets back to being the player he was in the second half, where he's getting on base a ton and can solve that leadoff spot for us and then roll everyone from there. But obviously bringing Verdugo over is a huge deal. He could hit in that spot. You could move Glaber up there if you wanted to. So I do feel like we have a lot of really good options. We'll just see how everything shakes out with spring, and then obviously once you get into the season, depending on guys being nicked up or injuries you face, performance, all those things, can play a big role in that.
How do you evaluate that? How do you evaluate that as a manager who's had tons of success? You've brought in elite players now. How do you evaluate that in spring training? You're like, oh, well, see how it's going. Verdugo could be in there, because you're talking about guys getting on base and then guys driving them in. How are you evaluating that? It's not like you're going down to minor league camp and being like, wow, that guy's got a lot of power. Well, duh. You can watch Stanton's BP and be like, yeah, he's got a lot of juice. Yeah, Verdugo looks kind of weird with his beard shaved. Like, these are things that you can see. How are you evaluating it as a manager?
Well, I think first and foremost, you start with the kind of pillars. Like, I see Aaron and Soto hitting back to back. Whether one's two, the other's three, the other's two. I'm not quite sure yet how it shakes out. It may depend on who actually is hitting in that leadoff spot, who is hitting in the four hole and beyond. So I think one of the exciting things about the potential of our lineup this year, I think, is the balance. We're going to have, upwards of 4 or 5 lefties in the lineup, so you can really kind of alternate things, and that's not even talking about when Jason Dominguez, hopefully gets back for us at some point in the summer. So I'm excited about the balance that we have, and then it's just seeing, like, I think Big G's had a great winter. Like, how's Big G doing? Where's he at coming into spring and into the regular season? Like I talked about with DJ, do you have a situation where versus a left-handed starter or versus a right-handed starter, you have a different leadoff hitter? We'll see. We'll see how that kind of shakes out and how it becomes fluid. But, I think you start with the idea that, hopefully Judge and Soto are hitting back-to-back over 150 times this year.
Wouldn't that be nice to have Dominguez maybe a leadoff hitter once he comes back healthy? I mean, there's a lot of options you can go with all these guys. Volpe, him. My next question would be with Carlos Rodon. I think he's the guy that needs to get going this year. He's a guy that's going to, pretty much kickstart that, whatever he's a 3, 4, or 5 pitcher. I don't know. But if he gets going, I feel this Yankee team will be as dominant as they always have been. What have you heard about him? How's he doing? And how do you think he's going to come up this year with hopefully a big year?
Yeah, I mean, look, he certainly had his struggles last year, and a lot of it was due to just starting with injuries. And he had an injury that started him, and he had a setback when he was coming back. So he was just playing catch up all year and couldn't really get in that good groove or that good rhythm. The biggest thing that I've probably told him going into the offseason is it didn't go away. The good thing for you is you are super talented, and it's just about being healthy for him. And again, I talk about guys having good winters. I really feel like Carlos is one of those guys that's had an outstanding winter. He's in great shape. He's throwing the ball well. Just delivery wise, he looks good already. He's in Tampa. He's been in Tampa for the last 2 weeks already. So kind of trying to just get a leg up and make sure he's in the best position to go out there and be successful. And the biggest thing I want him to focus on is going to the post. Whether that means 170, 180, and upwards innings, whatever that is, like focus on going out there and being able to post and doing what you need to do from a physical standpoint to be able to post. And I truly believe if that's the case, if he's handling that, the results will follow over time because, his stuff is simply too good and he's too talented as long as he's taking care of all the other things that allow him to go out there every fifth or sixth day.
I don't want to give you my opinion, so I'm going to let you rank it first. I need a 1 to 10 on Cashman's rant that he had earlier this offseason.
Which one?
It was pretty effing good.
I'm kidding. We're talking the GM, right?
Whichever one you want to go after. The whole just Cashman's offseason minus Sans trades and signings.
You know what? I pulled out my bag of popcorn and just kicked my feet up and enjoyed him getting after it a little bit. He definitely let it eat there a little bit and created some noise. Look, we understand. Obviously, we're coming off a year that's just not acceptable by our terms and our standards, and we can talk all we want all winter about things we're going to do or why this happened or why that didn't happen. The bottom line is we got to go out and handle our business on the field, and I do feel like we're putting ourselves in position to do that. But again, we got to go out and prove it now, and I'm excited to have that opportunity.
I was going to give him a 10 because
10. It was
10. A 10. Because the fact that if you come out and do it, then it looks like you're sitting there trying to I got to protect my players. I got to save my job, all this stuff. He comes out and does it. And it's like, oh yeah, you know what? This is what we do. And you know what? He's built up enough cachet in my mind to say all the stuff that he says. And at the end of the day, he wasn't lying. All the stuff he said, he wasn't lying. And to me, that's all you need is honesty, right?
Yeah. And, a lot of times you get, I feel like he probably got criticized a little bit for going that way. But, you also get criticized sometimes for being too generic and just, saying what, want to be here. So it's like you can't really win when you're coming off a season that we just had. So, look, talk is cheap in the end. I enjoyed it. I think it exercised some demons for him. And the bottom line is we got to go out and do it on the field. And that's what we're focused on.
Let me ask you this. This is a question for you. I know winning is probably top priority for you, but what is the best part of the job for you besides winning? And what would you say is the worst part of your job? I know there's a lot that goes into this. People talk to Erik and I like, oh, why don't you guys try to go coach? And I said, hell no, I'm not trying to get in that business right now. It's tough. There's got to be good and bad about everything. So what would be the best part about the job, and what's the worst if you could think of one?
Aside from winning, I would say the competition, the 7 o'clock. You prepare, you get ready to go. And even though you're not playing anymore, you're obviously totally invested. And, for me, I'm on my feet the entire game and locked in. And that competition at the highest level in the world, you guys obviously know what it is to play in the highest league in the land, and with a lot on the line. And I think that's what you kind of live for and love. I love, no matter what goes on in the season, good, bad, and different. I think one of the things that I take pride in is hearing people talk about our players that we come in contact with. There's a lot of people that, whether it's you roll into a town and it's hotel staff, opposing visiting team staff, airplanes, flight attendants, pilots, those kind of things. All the people that we come in contact with, anytime you hear them, which I hear a lot, frankly, about how our players conduct themselves and treat people, that matters big time to me, and is something that I've always been proud of with this group year in and year out. But the competition is awesome. As far as the crappy part, I think the things that aren't baseball related that come across your desk that are hard to deal with, and how do you deal with them? You don't prepare for a pandemic. How do you respond to that? What do you do? How do you lead through something like that? Social issues that pop up sometimes. How do you navigate those kind of things? Things that come up with players that have nothing to do with baseball. That maybe a personal issue they're dealing with that can leak in and become an issue. Those are the things that are hard to prepare for sometimes, and as one of the leaders, you gotta be able to handle those things and try and grow your group from all the things that you don't account for that maybe have nothing to do with baseball.
I thought one of your answers were going to be analytics, but I want to get into that part a little. I do want to get into that part a little bit. One, are you an analytical guy? And then you heard from Judge and a couple other guys that, like, man, we're maybe a little too analytical right here. The paperwork, all that stuff, trying to figure out, oh, these percentages, that percentage. Is it a little too much in your opinion too as well?
Well, I mean, I think the secret sauce in this job is striking that balance. And there's a lot of players that can handle a lot of different things, and information has allowed them to become and reach their potential as players, and can kind of eat it up and use it. There's other players that you kind of try and get out of their way, and it can hold them back and bog them down. The secret sauce is in striking that balance. There's so much good information, and the bottom line is, if you're not on the cutting edge of a lot of it, you fall behind in this game. But it is being able to strike that balance and understanding, who can absorb the most information, and again, who do you get the heck out of the way of?
So where does Marcus Stroman fall on that spectrum of the level? He's gonna bring more swag than the Yanks have had in a minute. A little more dancing, a little more. He's gonna have to wear like a super high turtleneck and sleeves for the team picture, because there's no tattoos in the Yankees team pictures. How do you assimilate a guy like that into your system? Because I know the guy personally, and I know he wants to win. So that's probably the reason he's coming to New York.
Yeah, look, the one thing, I had the chance to spend a little bit of time with him before we signed. I spent some time with him over at his house in Tampa, and got to know him a little bit and talk to him and try to get out in front of some things that, not every organization has to deal with. The bottom line is, I'm excited to have him because, like you said, this guy is an elite competitor. That my sense in talking to him, that this is the place that he wants to be, and I know I'm very confident that he's going to make us a lot better. I think he's going to thrive in this situation with the pinstripes on. I know he's looking forward to it. And I told him, every now and then I'm going to have to get on you, probably, if I got to make you shave or do something that cutting into things a little bit. It's going to annoy you from time to time, but we'll handle it the best we can as it comes up. But I'm excited.
What was his response to that?
Oh yeah, all good, all good. I said, the biggest thing you'll be upset about me is if I have to come get the ball from you at some point, or if I got to come up and make you shave on a day you're getting a little extra chin music going on there. But I'm not too worried about it. I think he's going to fit in really well with our group, and the guy can really pitch and is an elite competitor, and I can't wait to see him do his thing in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, me too. I think, I played with him and with the Mets. He loved it there, and that's his backyard pretty much. I want to skip over to the outfield a little bit. You just picked up Verdugo. You'll have Soto, you'll have Judge, Stanton, and then Dominguez when he comes back. How's that outfield carousel going to play out? And if everybody's healthy, how much time does Judge get in center field?
Yeah, I'm planning on playing Judgy in center a lot. He's preparing for it now. The one thing is, when I play him in center, I tend to use the DH with him a little bit more often. So, if he's playing most days in center field, especially with Trent Grisham on the roster now, who's an elite defender out there, and more of that balance, he'll obviously get some reps out there. I can use the DH there for Judge sometimes. I've even talked to Judgy about playing a little bit of left field on a certain day when I want to get Grisham and him in the outfield, which he's open to. I'll probably have Verdugo in left field and Juan in right, and then I really feel like Giancarlo would be able to give us an occasional look in the outfield as well. He's preparing for that. So I love our depth. I do feel like we're in a better position to absorb an injury that may come up or whatever. So hopefully that's the case. And then obviously we get Jason Dominguez in the mix at some point in the summer. Oswaldo Cabrera is another guy that's gained a lot of outfield experience. So I do feel like we have a lot of depth right now that hopefully serves us well over the course of the 162.
Talking about Judgy in center field, you say a lot. Are we talking like 120? Are we talking 160 if he's healthy? Because Locaine, when was talked about that Judgy's going to be the center fielder, Locaine was talking about how there is way more running. Not to discount the fact that Judgy's an elite Gold Glove right fielder, but there's a lot more running in center field, and for that big a body. Are you concerned, and do you go into it with okay, we'll take him out in the 7th and move him to right, or are we going to only play 120 out there for Judgy?
I'm not concerned about it, and I mean, Judgy had probably his most healthy season in 2022 when he was out there in center field. Most of the injuries he's gotten have been in right field, so I know he's not worried about it all. I'm not. The one thing is with the little bit more running that you have, it makes me more inclined to use the DH with him, probably a little more periodically. So whether that's once a week, whether that's twice a week, depending on, again, it depends on how healthy we are at different points of the season. But I'm comfortable with him being out there. I'm not putting him on running back. I'm just moving him over to the center of the diamond. But the one thing is, it makes me a little more inclined to use the DH with him to pick those days where I can get him off his feet because he is running around the outfield.
You can hear that you're thinking about this lineup a lot. I like that. But you do have a running back, and your running back is, I don't know his timetable. I want to know when Dominguez is going to be healthy. What's the latest that you've heard? And not that I'm just asking the same question again. Does he slot into center field when he comes back?
Yeah, we'll see. Look, it'll be sometime in the summer. The rehab is going, I think, as well as you could hope. How it's supposed to go. He's doing great. He's down in Tampa now too, and so we'll just see. Won't be some. Obviously, we won't rush him or anything. It's going to be when he's fully ready to come back and play defense. He'll be back and hopefully contribute. And you got to see what who knows what we look like in June or July and what our roster, if we have an injury here. So all we know is we think he's got a really, really bright future. Obviously he had a great debut for us last year in the week when he did get called up, and we're excited about his future. But first and foremost, got to get him healthy. And I will say he's on the track of doing that and hopefully join us sometime in the summer.
Did you see enough of Dominguez? Or, I mean, people are wondering, you expect him in AAA, or did you see enough of him to be a big leaguer all the way through?
Yeah, again, I mean, just because we have so much depth now, where are you in June, with that depth? How's that shaking out? I am totally confident that he's going to be a really, really good player in this league for a long time. When that time, he kickstarted it last year when he got called up in September there and had quite a debut for a week. I think it's a little peak of the kind of career he might have. But we'll just see. We'll see where we're at when he is ready to come back and what our needs are at that point.
Another thing, Hal came and talked to you about bunting more. I think that's impressive. I think, the smile on. Listen, I'm all for it with the right people at the right time. I don't expect Judge to, run around first and second. He's going to lay down and bunt to get the guys over. But have you talked more into that?
What Hal said was that I had talked about more bunting, which
Okay.
is the biggest thing. So it is a little bit out of context, but the biggest thing is, especially now with the extra inning rules, like, there's a lot more situations that come up. Like, if you're the home team and let's say you held that opponent from scoring in the 10th inning, and now you got that man on second, like, to me, that opens up a lot more players that I would be inclined to be able to bunt in that situation, especially if they're capable of it, which I think, we should be able to do, whether it's coming through the minor leagues or, hopefully you have that as part of your skill set. So I don't anticipate us bunting anymore. Hopefully we have a handful of guys that it's in the tool belt, that if, leading off an inning or you need a base runner, to be able to have that, I think serves players well, and I think opens a lot of things up. But I don't see us doing a whole lot of bunting. I just want it to be in our tool belt when we need it.
Good. There's some happy Yankee players right now that are probably either catching this live or going to catch it afterward and be like, I'm a masher, so I'm going to go up there and freaking mash for booty. That's what this lineup looks like. I want to ask you about now your former bench coach, but happy tears, bittersweet. Carlos Mendoza was on with us, I think, the day after it was announced officially, and he personally thanked you, obviously, for many things, but also for giving him more of an opportunity to manage in games than most would, based on some ejections here and there. It was a great freaking line, showed us some of what the personality is, because we don't know him that well. So can you give us your scouting report on what he's like? And then there were a few fan questions asking what it's like to transition to a new bench coach, because now you've got Brad Ausmus when you had Mendoza for such a long time, and he was super valuable, right?
Yeah. Mendy is, we ended up becoming amazing friends, and someone that I will totally miss. I talked to him last night. We still talk and check in all the time with each other. I'm so excited for him. Certainly that there was a little shock and I was preparing myself the month leading up, because I felt like he was going to get one of these jobs. Is like, he does so many things. He's got so much talent as a coach, as a physical coach, whether it's infield, throwing BP, a great mind. He understands analytics, but there's an old school toughness to him. Like, he checks so many boxes. He's such a great person, such a passion for the game. He and I knew each other so well, could kind of complete each other's sentences. So I am certainly going to miss him. We are going to miss him, but we're excited for his opportunity. And I'm also excited, though, for the transition. And one of the things when we went into the hiring mode of obviously looking for his replacement is the one thing I didn't want to do is just go and try and find a Mendy clone, because I know I'd be disappointed in that regard, and look for a guy that checks all the boxes, because Mendy checks so many boxes because he can do so many things as a coach, and his experience and his knowledge is so excellent. I wanted to just bring in the most impactful person, and whoever that was going to end up being, I didn't want him to necessarily. I'm looking for Mendy, and in Brad Ausmus, somebody that we played against each other a ton when he was in Houston and I was in Cincinnati. So we knew each other from across the field a lot, have had so many conversations over the years. I have so much respect for him as a player, obviously as a manager in the league for a couple teams, as a bench coach. And it's been fun to see him already dive in and really already start to have an impact on our coaching staff, in our organization. And I'm excited for what he's going to bring to the table. And I look forward to just finding our rhythm, first in spring training, but then obviously in the early game, because that's the one thing with Mendy and me is like, man, he knew exactly what I wanted. I could not even have to ask a question. He was ready with his answer, his thought, his opinion, and we really communicated, I think, really efficiently. But I'm really excited about Brad and what I know he's going to bring to the table too.
You talking about Brad got my crazy mind off my question. Is he going to run? Is he going to run spring training? Because Mendy ran spring training like I feel like Brad might be a little bit too highfalutin for that.
So that's one of the other thing Mendy did. Mendy handled spring training and all the admin and stuff. So we've been doing a lot of, so Brad will be very, very much involved, and kind of, and already has been very much involved in inputting into the spring training. Tanner Swanson will handle a lot of the administrative stuff, and being kind of the field coordinator, if you will, for our team. But we'll have a lot of people pouring into and contributing to running spring training now, with Brad being one of those guys.
Oh, spring training's gonna be a mess if Tanner's running it, and you make sure he knows that I said that too. You guys are gonna be everywhere.
We're cracking the whip. He's all over it.
No.
We're gonna hit the ground running.
He's not. He's kind of pissy in the morning, so he's not gonna. Anyway, my question goes to, you said it a couple times, like he looks great this winter. Do you feel like sometimes in the winter, guys like go into this like body contest, and maybe like, I'm speaking specifically about G and the pictures that you see, he's like jacked, he's ripped. Is that what's going to make him healthy? Is a less body weight going to make him healthy? Is that going to keep him on the field? Because I think he could weigh 180 pounds and he would still hit dingers everywhere. But there's different opinions out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things we've identified, and G has as well, is he's got to play lighter. And even he's, like you said, he's always jacked and he's never out of shape. But I think he's at a point in his career, just from an age and some of the injuries that he's had, that he understands that playing a little bit lighter is important. And I think that's been one of his focal points this offseason is to be able to play lighter. I know he's in a good spot in that regard. Look, I think, obviously we're at the time of the year here, and in the next 4 weeks, we're going to get to camp and we're going to get everyone's in the best shape of their life. And you get that throughout camps across Major League Baseball. I do feel like, for us, for a few of, especially guys that are coming off of tough years or tough physical years, I think sometimes it can be added motivation for guys, especially guys that are, north of 30 years old, that went through a season where they were banged up or, didn't get the most out of maybe their body. So it forces you to ask some tough questions. But I feel really good about, like where Nestor's at physically, where Carlos Rodon's at physically, where I think G is at right now physically. DJ, the challenges he's had the last couple of years with the toe and the foot, he's in a really good spot. And so I'm excited about some of the guys that I feel like it's critical and important that they've had good off seasons from a physical standpoint. I feel like so far that first part, those boxes have been checked.
So, Boone, last one here. A lot of fans asking about certain free agents like Blake Snell, and I'll let you answer what we all know in the baseball world. Number one, you can't specifically address all that stuff in general. There's rules in baseball about it. Number two, you are not the general manager of the team. But I'll let you answer that. The second part of that, though, is you can talk about teams and what their strategies are and all that in the offseason, just like you gave us your evaluation of the Yanks at the beginning of this conversation. So I wanted to take you to your division. What have you thought about the rest of the division so far this offseason? For example, the Red Sox said they're going full throttle. They have now backtracked on that. They have not been as good. Like the Yanks-Red Sox rivalry is not as sexy right now because they're a last place team. And so I'm wondering, with what you've seen from Boston, do you think that the Yankees rivalry right now is more with like the Rays and the Jays and some of the juice you guys have had?
I kind of feel like there's a rivalry with all of them, frankly. And the Red Sox one is always, I've been a part of it now for long enough as a player and as a manager where, it's always bubbling under the surface, and it can explode at any time. So it's, playing in the American League East, you got to pack a lunch. It's tough. It's great baseball. Especially now with what the Orioles have turned into now, you walk into a series and there's no givens, and I expect that to be the same. I think a lot of teams maybe in the East so far have been had kind of quiet winners to a degree, but as we've seen a lot, it's not about the perception of we won the off season, or there's a lot of time for things to play out, and I know that regardless of what happens between now and spring, the competition with our division opponents will be challenging as always.
Booney, we're going to let you go. But first, I got to say, what I think of you as a person. I really respect you as a person. And you coming on here helps fans really connect with, fan base really connect with your team and you as a manager. So I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. But we got to hit one personal note here. Where in the Boone Olympics does Nick Allen now slide in that he's in on the family? I mean, he's joining a intimidating family. Where does he slide in? And do you give him a hard time? Do you and the guys in the family give him a hard time?
You know what? We love Nick. I mean, he has been welcomed with open arms, man. And you know what? What's endeared him to my immediate family here is, the last 2 off seasons before they got married, Nick and Savannah have come out and actually spent a few days with us, stayed at our house here in Connecticut, all the way from California in the winter, trying to ingratiate themselves in the family, and I respect and appreciate that. But Nick's off to a great start.
Oh man, he sounds like a brown noser. He sounds like he's trying to keep a job in the big leagues. What's up with that? Like,
Boney, I said this. I said if they give him a chance, give him a couple years straight, he's going to get a Gold Glove. He's got some of the best hands I've ever seen.
He can really pick it.
Hoo-wee.
But my shortstop can pick it a little bit too.
Oh, hell yeah.
Stop
Hold on that glove.
You can always use depth.
Oh, I love it.
Nah, he's got to do his few years.
Volpe's got the Gold Glove.
He did actually get it. Yeah, he actually got it.
So, but Nick
family
can pick
first,
it. No
Boney. Family first. You know that.
Yeah. We had, obviously, for context, we had Nick on. We've had like a few hundred player guest spots, but we had Nick on a few weeks ago. So it took up a good chunk of the conversation. Yeah, it was good because we haven't heard much from him yet. You're in Oakland. You're not going to get the same attention. There's all that crap going on, but he's one of the bright stars there. So it was cool.
The one thing I'm going to tell him, though, is, him and Savannah have been posting a lot about the wedding, and it's like the wedding's a couple months old now. It's like, now it's like, you give me an anniversary post, fine, but let's not relive it. It's now it's in the trenches grinding out that marriage now. Let's go.
That's Savannah. That's Savannah doing that to him now. That's the wife. Put another pick up for me, honey. Come on.
Yeah, honeymoon phase is over.
Wedding, honeymoon, it's over.
Boney.
The trenches.
That's trash that you didn't watch the episode with Nick on here. Like, I mean, I know you're a huge FT fan. I know you were on vacation, but you're a huge FT fan. Maybe one of our biggest, but you need to be watching.
I will go back and watch it.
Thank you.
Now that I've heard that, I'm really excited about it. So
perfect.
All right.
Great to see you, dude. Appreciate you. Bye.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Boone, manager of the New York Yankees, with us on FTLive. Good one.
Yeah, he's
got
solid.
to the good stuff there. That was great.
He gives real answers too, man. Like, I know I sound like I'm gushing nerd and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but
you're looking for a coaching job. I got it.
He gives real answers. He gives real answers without. I don't know. I mean, he didn't throw anybody under the bus, yes, but like he's just who he is, and that's who he is behind the scenes too.
Yeah, this isn't.
real guy.
I mean, the season
changes.
the season hasn't started yet. This isn't Ollie Marmol versus Tyler O'Neill in week 1 of the season. Come on, we got to at least get dudes on the field first.
And he knows stuff will change. And like he said, dude, I'd like to have this guy hit here, hit there, but we'll see how spring training boats out. Might, I hate to say it, an injury or guy doesn't perform as well, and then now you're like, all right, now what do we do?
Yeah, he's got a tough job, Todd Father. I mean, I thought it like last year, for example. I know the injuries add on to it, but I mean, the roster as a whole, the current roster, the active roster, it wasn't as good as some of the other teams in that division. That's why they missed the playoffs.
Couldn't pay me enough to do that. It's tough.
Look at his winning percentage as a manager too. By the way, like He's done it.
You know me, I'm a fan. I go more after cash in the front office just because I give all the respect to the World Series titles and all that from years back. But right now, I think the front office has been the one, part of the team that's been slacking. Like they've had some misses on trades and signings. It's that freaking simple. And even the medical staff to an extent, you can't totally predict everything, but they've acquired some pitchers that have had significant injury issues, and they've got to give the thumbs up or thumbs down. And Rodon wasn't healthy last year. Hopefully he is this year. He's had a long history of health problems going back to college. Frankie Montas was not healthy. I mean, you can say what you want, and you evaluated him. That was on, I don't know who exactly makes that call, but
tough process.
His shoulder was not there.
There's a bunch of guys too. I mean, Stroman wasn't healthy either at the end. They're saying he's 100%, but still, some of these injuries linger. I'm not saying anything else. I'm just saying injuries do linger, and
that's a tough process. I talked to a trainer. A big league trainer that went through this process during the offseason with trades. And he was like, I was up for 24 hours straight evaluating these trades. They have to go through all the medicals. Okay. They have to go through old medicals of other guys who have been traded from that organization to see if there's any inconsistencies, see if things are being handled the way that you would handle them. Because as much as like a team wants, like, oh man, the Orioles want Dylan Cease. You don't know what the White Sox medical staff has written down, covered up, not diagnosed correctly, all that stuff. So he told me it was like a 3 or 4 person trade, and he told me he was up for 24 hours. He was up the whole day going through stuff, waiting for responses, and then the trade kind of went through, but then they had to wait for the medicals, and he had to spend the entire night going through everything. And then they send it back and say, what's this? Okay, then they respond. And it was a 24-hour process. He said it was like 8:30 in the morning. He finally went to bed. But it's the real deal. Like, they have to do their best, and sometimes they miss.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we've got some breaking news on FT. That's what we're here for. Fans already getting involved. Ready for it?
Baby?
Boom.
Talk to me.
Jeff passing first with it. Star closer Josh Hader and the Houston Astros are in agreement on a 5-year, $95 million contract. The deal contains no deferrals. It is the largest present-day value contract for a reliever in baseball history. And you might be thinking, what? Edwin Diaz was low hundos. No, he had deferrals in there. It brought the number down. I'll get you all the info in just a sec. But first off, before we get into the money and the record-breaking Josh Hader contract, Houston getting now a 1-2 punch at the back end of their bullpen of Josh Hader and Ryan Presley. Todd Father, that changes things, man. The Houston Astros have been good for a long time, but that 8-9, are you kidding me? And like Kratz has talked about, it's really that 7-8-9 or even 6-7-8-9 with Ryan Abreu, and you can get multiple outs in a playoff or a big game scenario from those guys beyond 3 outs. What do you think?
I think that's unbelievable. I think it's solid. It's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to see it go in fruition. And for them, Houston, that's a huge, huge pickup. Spend the money. They finally did, and good things do happen. This is a really big pickup for them. I mean, with the lineup they have and the people they have, that hurts these other teams in the AL West for sure. And, kudos to them. That's the first time I've been happy for the Astros. But yes, very good pickup, and not just calling a spade a spade. Solid pickup right there by the Astros.
I think I guess I got to stick to my shtick here. Like, I got to stick to my theory. They're not getting Hader for a 1-year jaunt here. Mm-hmm. This team isn't just like, it'll be Hader and you're done here in the next 3 years. No, to me, this signifies, and it should signify, what type of players they're going to be in the market in the next 5 years. This should signify to Tucker, we want you around. And this is one of the reasons. I get it. You always get to hit behind, you get to hit behind Yordan. You most likely get to hit with Jose. But this is an opportunity for them to, yes, keep that bullpen intact for the next 2 years, as long as the mutual options get picked up, all that stuff with Presley. But you're picking up a player that is setting a tone with a 5-year, you said 5 years, right? 595?
Correct. No deferrals.
baby.
It sets your team up for a 5-year span. And to me, players want the money. Absolutely, they want the money. But they want to know that this next 7-year contract that they're going to get, the big-time players, not the single-year guys, is going to matter, that there is an organization that wants to win. And they don't have the value in the minor leagues like they did before. So this is this is the first step. This is the first step in, to me, 3 or 4 moves that they're going to make in the next few years.
Nicholas, with a question in the chat, said, well, what happens to Presley? Nothing. I mean, he's on the team, and now he pitches the 8th instead of the 9th. I mean, we're all clear on that one, right? Hader's the closer.
Easy.
Yeah. You can go either way. I mean, listen, you would know more than me, Kratz. I don't understand when players get so pissy about it. You just signed a 5-year 95. Put me in any inning you want. This is my deal of the century. I'm making my money, and I am a closer. Guess what? You want to put me in the 8th and have Presley throw until all of a sudden he doesn't do it, then we'll switch it up. And it depends. He's a lefty and righty. Of course, it depends on who's up. I would say look at the lineup and be like, all right, and then we can figure it out.
I think you hit it there, because all I've heard about Presley and all I know about Hader is these dudes want to win. They are here to win. And if you go into a bullpen, if you go into a pregame bullpen meeting, you have a chart and you know who matches up best against who. So let's say you're going against the Rangers because they're going to play the Rangers, and you have a split against Marcus Semien, who hammers heaters, and you're going 9-1-2 in the 8th inning. To me, you're going to bring Presley in to face 9-hitter, probably a pinch hitter. Then you're going to go Semien, and then whoever's hitting second. If Seager's hitting second, maybe that's not a great matchup, but Joe Espada's he's going to really be able to stack the times in the games where he can go to either guy for better matchups. And it doesn't necessarily mean left-right. It more means their stuff, because both of those dudes can get righties and lefties out, but it's going to be their stuff. Who can't hit the balls at the top of the zone? If Josh Young can't hit the ball at the top of the zone, I need to have Hader in the game. If we have a guy that can hit a heater, maybe I need to have Presley in the game. And it really it shrinks the game by so much. We haven't even talked about Brian Abreu.
Yeah, good pickup, man.
Yeah, awesome. And you saw that second follow-up from Passan that he beats the Diaz contract, because Diaz present day value is about 93 mil, because there's some deferrals in there. Yes, there are other teams besides the Dodgers that do deferrals, and have been doing deferrals for years. It just got more attention with someone like Shohei Ohtani.
68 million is a lot more. 68 million is a lot more deferrals. But you know who's on the line now? Devin Williams. Devin Williams is super juiced. He's like, whoa, if this is what Hader and Diaz got, he's like, yes, let's go.
Yes, that's right. I mean, he's still got some time, though. He's got 2 years left before he gets the free agency. But yeah, of course, any big reliever on that front. And also, this should just elevate that market in general, right? So it's not like, we've had a freeze because no one's going to spend. It's just been a little bit of a stalemate. Team finally got up to the price that he wanted. Josh Hader and his team were very specific behind the scenes. I was told this I'm not the world's top insider, but I spoke to people behind the scenes that were like, it's a very simple goal. He wants to go to a place where he wants to be, which I think Josh Hader in Texas, that's a natural fit. He loves the great outdoors. And there's no state income tax, so he's actually even richer than you think. He's actually way richer than Edwin Diaz. Side note. So Edwin Diaz gets an extra, I'm going to estimate here, 15% taxed. Josh Hader doesn't get any of that from the state tax. So add that bad boy up too. Don't forget about that. But his camp was very clear. We are beating the Edwin Diaz contract. Not soaring past it. We are beating it, right? The credentials are better. The age is close enough. That's it. He's automatic in the 9th inning. And for all the people that have been, I think, overplaying the story about him not giving a team more than 3 outs in the regular season, that will change. He's not going to be the Hader of old where he's coming in for 2-3 innings on a regular basis. but you will be able to stretch him out on occasion. If it is September and the Astros are in a divisional race and they want to get an extra couple outs out of him, he will do that. A lot of that had to do with him making sure that he stayed healthy and self-preservation so that he could line himself up to be with a team that kind of took him more seriously, right? The Brewers said, screw you in arbitration. I don't blame him at all, right? He had a role. He very specifically filled it. Anyone would take those 3 outs to be automatic, like Josh Hader has given the Brewers and then, of course, the Padres over the last couple of years. So props to them. This is freaking huge for Hader, and it'll elevate the market. There's a lot of free agent relievers, I think, that'll now suddenly fly off the board. Nery, Stevenson, etc. None of them will touch the money that Hader just got, but all of them right now are looking at this contract and going, hell yeah, and they're calling their agent right now and saying, hey, look, that price that we've been talking about, I think we might be able to get it. Because also, I have to imagine there were other teams in on him. We'll hopefully find out about that afterward, but this is the perfect icing on top of your cake for a World Series team or a contender, right? There were people that said, why not the Dodgers? Why not the Yankees? Why not the Phillies? Why not the Rangers? I think those were all teams that I would have thought could have landed someone like Hader.
Yeah.
And I think this is a shocking upset just based on the history of the Astros. Jim Crane does not do this. This is by far the most money he's ever given out in free agency. This team does not go past the luxury tax like this, and currently they are flying past it. So I'm surprised, but I'm super thrilled for Astros fans. This sets the tone. I mean, this team's been profiting their asses off for years. They put a great product on the field and people show up, and they're spending more money towards it. He's not cheap. Some fans in our chat, when we talked about the team going after Hader, were like, oh, he won't do it. He's cheap. They're not cheap. No. I mean, they're soaring past $200 million in terms of their payroll. I've never called this team cheap. They're just more measured. They don't go crazy. They're not in Yankee, Met, Padre, Dodger land.
The Red Sox were in on Hader too.
Over the A's.
We have to put this up, Derek. We got to post that. Red Sox were in on Hader, as in they thought he would be really cool if he joined the team for a random price that would not have gotten the job done. But they're trying. They're trying out there. They're in on everybody right now.
You're crazy.
Are you guys shocked though? In terms of the background of what the Astros are from a financial component, they don't spend like this. They do not do this. We talked about this. $58.5 million under the Jim Crane era is the largest money they've ever given out to a free agent. This is double that, almost.
Yeah, but this is a different era. It might still be Jim Crane. Jim Crane is never afraid to spend money. Don't even get me started on like, okay, well, you haven't spent the money from 2017 to 22 or the years before 17. Like, they're right at that first luxury tax threshold. But I think they're seeing that they don't have the opportunity to do what they did before in the sense of that core coming up from the minor leagues. Okay, we're just going to keep cycling through the next core. They've run that for a long time. To me, I'm just repeating myself, it's signifying a change of the market, but also signifying the fact that they still want to win. There's plenty of organizations that would take their 2 World Series rings, put them in their pocket, take all that money for the next couple years, put it in their pocket, and say, you know what? Our run with this core kind of ran out, and now we got to rebuild again. Not ever saying the word rebuild, not ever say tanking, but they're not doing that. They're not doing that, and they absolutely run Houston right now, especially with the Cowboys stinking. The Astros are the team in Texas right now.
And they pick up innings. I mean, this guy's been one of the more consistent, durable relievers. They pick up innings. They lost a lot of innings. They lost Maton. If they don't re-sign Maton, Neris, Stanek, Kendall Graveman out for the season. Those 4 dudes, how do you replace them? This is a great way to do it.
Yes,
This is the start. This is the start. And I think maybe they get one of those other guys. I think they re-sign a Stanek.
After seeing this, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right. And I said that they're the team in Texas. I get it. The Rangers winning the World Series, they're technically the team in Texas.
Yeah, no, they're the team.
But this move may have been because of the fact that the Rangers won the World Series. Because we got to still retake that. They don't want to become the JV Texas squad. They want to make sure everybody knows, yes, they just got their one, and that's really neat. We have two, and we still are players in this market, and it made the American League West. I said it earlier in the show. This next month is going to prove who is my pick. Right now, the Astros took an early lead, but the Rangers still have a month to go to build this roster.
Rangers still. They're the champs. You can't. I get it. I know what you're saying, but until they get knocked off that throne, it's still the Rangers to me.
Fair.
This is more than I thought the Astros were going to do, though. I mean, if you told me, hey, are the Astros going to spend $100 million in the offseason, which they've surpassed that because even just Caratini alone puts them over the top there in terms of money spent, I would have taken the under. So props to them. Dana Brown, the general manager, did say at the winter meetings they weren't going to overspend for relief pitching. I'm paraphrasing, but they didn't overspend, but they spent. They spent a lot on relief pitching.
Yeah, but they didn't overspend.
No.
They weren't desperate.
No, and it's a fair contract. That's the thing.
Did you see what else is in the contract here? Joel Sherman put up. Can we put that post up right now?
What is it? Oh, I see it. We might need a sec to put it up, but I can read it.
Yeah.
He would receive $1 million if he wins the Mariano Rivera or Trevor Hoffman Reliever of the Year award. That's the AL and the NL version. Obviously, he's in the AL, but I guess in case he ended up on another team. Largest bonus ever associated with that award.
I like it. That's a little incentive piece, Nuggets. I like that stuff.
To me, that means he's more along the lines of closer status. Like,
yes,
he is gonna close
that
most
solidifies
of the
it for me.
Yeah, sure, they could just flip it and be like, we don't care about that bonus, but usually that's in there for a reason. Like, hey, go out there, be the best freaking closer on a year-by-year basis, and we'll give you an extra $1 million.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff to finish off the weekend.
Hell yeah. Good stuff to finish off the weekend is right. So congrats to Hader and to the Houston Astros, and let's slap.
Soon.
Oh, sorry.
We can still slap hands over the screen.
How about Kratzy's Hatsies? When are we doing that?
In slap. Whenever slap comes up.
Yeah, we're doing it in slap.
And
that's my bad.
Todd this is Todd's first chance at grading this, John.
No, I graded the one before. The black and white Scranton Wilkes.
Yeah, you did one earlier this week.
Oh,
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
I gave it a B+. This one I'm at a C level right now, just so you know. But
let's slap.
We got to slap it.
All right, so let's run a little Kratz hats, and I'll give everyone a guest preview for next week.
Whoa. You didn't see that coming, did you?
Whoa, is that a new one?
That is a Mama Juana.
Marijuana?
No.
Oh, sorry.
It's a Dominican. It's a Dominican drink, but it's a Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs Copa Diversión.
You did use that one once, no?
I did.
Is that
refreshing?
Yeah, one time. Okay.
I don't
it's hard to remember. About a billion shows.
Todd, you need to see it
one more time. I'm on a level where I'm at. Let's see. So my C changed. I love the logo. I don't know why Lehigh Valley would do it, so I'm going to give it a B+ again. I can't give it an A. I don't know why they would do that. So I'm sorry.
I think that's fine. I think in the B's, it's cool, but it's not like the world's.
It's not applicable.
Design. Yeah.
No, I tell you what, it's sharp. It's getting a little snug for that dome of yours. It looks like, but that's okay.
This is perfect. This is a good one. This is easy on.
What size hat do you wear for the people to know? Just curious.
5/8.
5/8. All right. Well, I'm a half, 7.5.
Yeah, we're right there.
Scooter, what are you? Because if your hair's up like that, it's got to be pretty big.
Yeah,
Scott's wearing a hat like this.
I'm a quarter.
kid in play right there with the action going on.
Yeah, he's got to cut
a quarter
the top.
Last I checked, but yeah, if the hair keeps growing, I might get to a half. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, if everyone wants to play along, you can give us a little grade for Kratz hats on a daily basis too in the chat.
Hey, and tell Josh Hader he's welcome. He comes on the show and then he gets paid. Let's go.
We'll work on it. Might be able to get him next week. I think that's very possible. And guest list wise, we do know we're getting Eloy Jimenez. I think we probably will get Lance Lynn. Hall of Fame announcement next week, so we'll cover that at length. And then I've been
that's gonna be a fun subject because it's getting sticky buns there now.
Yeah, and you're on for
January 23rd.
Tuesday. I'll be on with you. I'll be at Todd Father's spot. Kratz is going away. And lastly, Mike Soroka, I think, is going to join us next week, too. And then obviously,
Kratz, make sure you tell everybody you got 5 pit bulls at the house, just so you know.
Oh, yeah, we locked down.
All right,
yeah,
good.
Exactly. Kratz, we'll see you in 2 weeks, dude.
Appreciate it.
Later, everybody. Have a good weekend. Bye.